What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with us. Thank y'all for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's up, friends and family? I appreciate y'all for continuing to rock with me. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. It is Monday, August 24th, 2026, year of our Lord. I appreciate y'all. How was y'all weekend? John Teal, for real. Breath in my lungs. Breath in my lungs. Another opportunity to do great things. I don't have no complaints whatsoever. Shout out to everybody that actually ran into me in the streets over the weekend. Shout out to all of the chasers, all of the bag chasers. Greetings, greetings, greetings. You know what I came up with? Oh, okay. So, first and foremost, I decided that it's good to mix it up. It's good to mix it up. Tomorrow, we'll be in the ESPN room. Today, we're here. And that way, I can make sure that everybody is happy, including K. Cooper, because K. Cooper loves his background. Now, I do have my motorcycle here, as you can see, right here. So, I went and picked up my motorcycle shortly Friday after the show, and I said, I'm going to go ahead and get that put right here inside of the studio. So, one of the things that I try to anticipate is how big the elevator is. And so if the elevator is big enough, that means that I can go and pick up my motorcycle, drive it into the elevator. That way I ain't got to do no fast and furious going up the steps. Drive it into the elevator. And then once you jump into the elevator, you can just ride it straight into the studio. So I'm not sure if I want to have it over there or if I just want to kind of have it behind me. But I like having it behind me, like that little subtle. Man, what is that? Is that a motorcycle in there? I kind of like having it behind me. You know what I'm saying? So Chris Cunningham said, "Keep this background." What you mean, keep this background, Chris Cunningham? I like them both. I'm keeping it 100. Like, I like them both. I like the background that I do the reaction videos to. That's over there. This room is lit. It's the best I've ever seen on YouTube. And it's real. It's a real room with a real. You know, I'll notice that it's a lot of people that's actually. What's up to my girl Billy Ray Valentine? You got to sleep till 8 a.m. Oh, I know that's crazy for you. It's a lot of people that have fake backgrounds on YouTube. I didn't know that. Did y'all know that? You thought you was the only one that brought your motorcycle inside? Nah, man, it's dope. I like it. Look at that. Look how beautiful it is. It's my baby. My crotch rocket, and then I take it outside and I get going. It's a CBR 1000 RR. I get going. I get going. Yes, man. All right. So I also came up with another idea, and we're going to jump into the show because we got a lot to cover today. We got a whole lot to cover today. We're going to go over the Canadian trade. That wasn't good. Singapore, a woman that got thrown Drano on her. Obviously, we got to go into the person that gave their perspective on, you know, the beginning of the show where I find a person to give their perspective on something. We didn't tackle the $40 trillion in national trade deficit, so we're going to do that. I'm vlogging today for the Patreon, just to let y'all know. Iran wants to stop the war now that Trump is putting draconian sanctions on them. So he's basically shutting down their whole economic sector. Sean Grayson, the person that was convicted for Sonia Massey, mysteriously died in prison. Deshaun Watson, Enes Kanter with the WNBA. The judge actually ruled on the Karmelo Anthony appeal. So we're going to get to that. So we got a lot. We got a lot that we need to cover today. I'm thinking that we might not get to one of them, so we might have to send it over to the next day, but we'll figure that out. But another thing that I came up with this weekend, right? I don't think that I'm interested in live streaming on the Millionaire Morning Show on the weekend. Instead, because I need my rest, right? I need my rest. I need to catch up on different work. I need to be working on the Patreon stuff. My number one priority going forward is the Patreon. All right. That's my number one priority. Anything after the Patreon is cool, but my number one priority is always going to be the Patreon. So as a result, what I've decided to do instead is do longer shows on days where I have to make up or throughout the week. And that way we just go ahead and have that. So we already doing 4-hour shows. So that's more than enough to make up, but I might do additional segments that I wanted to cover. And so it may go a little bit more than 4 hours. Thank you, Kay Cooper. But I'm not concerned about anything outside of the Patreon. Everything else comes second to the Patreon going forward. From today going forward, the Patreon is the number one priority. Everything else is second. So we may do longer shows on the Millionaire Morning Show, but I'm not gonna live stream on the. It's not even worth it, to be honest with you, because it's out of the loop. So one of the reasons why I get y'all through your live stream on a weekday is because y'all actually at work and y'all doing stuff, working from home or whatever. But when people sleep in on the weekends, it's like, are we live streaming just to live stream, or are we really maximizing what we're supposed to be doing, right? So essentially, it's this. I want to maximize the value that I give you, not just be online a whole lot. I want to make sure that you guys are getting the most out of the time that you are watching me instead of just watching me as much as possible. So Patreon is number one. I'm dropping a video on Patreon today. We live streaming tomorrow, dropping in the vlog on Wednesday, live streaming on Thursday, and then I'm dropping it. Only thing I'm caring about is the Patreon at this point, is the bag chasers. All right? You outside too much on the weekends too? Right. So forget all of that other stuff. We dropping a video today. Specifically, I'm going to tell y'all how to leverage and how you need to adjust, considering that the national debt hit $40 trillion and what my thoughts are on that. And so I'm focused on that. And then if we miss a show because something happens or it's something that we got to take care of, then we'll just add to or make adjustments on the actual day. But we're not going to just stream for the sake of streaming. I want to capture the most and get the most value out of what we're doing. All right? So that's the goal. So as we learn, as we evolve, we're going to continue to make the adjustments. And I'm also thinking about adding in like a very, very last segment starting tomorrow on the Millionaire Morning Show, where I take a phone call, or I take a couple phone calls just to get y'all thoughts. So let me know what y'all think about that inside of the chat, and I'm going to figure that out. Let me read some of these cash apps and super chats. I got a hot chocolate and a tea on the way. And this allows for me to be able to get my voice back and preserve my voice. And we can figure that out. Mike That Dude. What up to Mike That Dude? I appreciate you. Shout out to my dog, Mike That Dude. Thank you. Spencer Campbell. Good morning, AD and the Bag Chasers. God bless. What up to Spencer Campbell? John Teal. What up? Says, wishing you a great show today. What up, John Teal? If you guys are coming to the meetup in Dallas, let me know inside of the Patreon. Also, I'm going to post the exact time that we're going to be live streaming tomorrow. So that'll be up today. And then the video that I pre-recorded for you guys for the making the adjustments, that'll be up today too. All right? Bag chasers. Let me read this super chat. Shout out to the Purple Haze. Says, game documentary 3 is Fuek. Man, let me tell you something, bro. I know this is going to bother y'all. And maybe we need to do a live stream on this. Maybe tonight. I don't know. We got to have a conversation. We have to have a conversation. On after hours, specifically. Purple Haze. Definitively. Game is and again, I don't know how this is going to play out, but let's have a conversation about it. Game is a better rapper and a better artist than Kendrick. Kendrick is a product of the machine. Kendrick is not better than Game. That's number one. And Game is top 5, undisputed, maybe even top 3, maybe top 2 of the greatest rappers on the West Coast. And I say that with no reservation, and I'm ready to prove exactly what I said. Game is better than Kendrick, and he might be top 3 of all time on the West Coast. Definitively. And he's fighting for all of the number 1 spot. There is no rapper on the West Coast that's better than the Game. Definitively. And a documentary 3, in my opinion, has cemented his, yes, he is. And I'm willing to argue. And I might do a call-in show on After Hours tonight. I'm not trolling. Game is the best rapper on the West Coast, definitively. There is nobody more feared. There is nobody more feared than the Game. And the documentary 3 cements his status as a West Coast, as the king of the West Coast. We'll talk about it. Oh, yes, he's better than he's not more popular than Snoop, but he's better than Snoop. Absolutely. There is nobody that's a better artist and rapper on the West Coast than the Game. Nobody. Larry June is not better than the Game. Stop the cap. E40 is not better than him. Nobody on the West Coast. Nobody on the West Coast is better than the Game. Shen C says, I don't get notifications when you live anymore. I don't know why. You might have to unsubscribe to some of these people that you subscribe to, my friend. Snoop is not better than the Game. Stop it, bro. Stop it. No. We can talk about it. We can talk. Because, see, I'm going to do my own segment on After Hours, separate from what they do on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I might pop up here and there, but that's the panel. That's for the people. That's for After Hours. This is a whole nother segment. How was the stuff, man, listen, stop lying. That stuff was not written by 50. 50 had a hook, and he might have had a structure for the song on the first album, but he did not write Games. 50 can't even rap as good as Game. How is 50 writing his album? He may have produced it well. He may have come up with some dope-ass hooks. He may have had some structure for the songs, but 50 ain't got a better catalog than the Game. Y'all got to stop confusing popularity and clout chasing and being able to have the machine to promote you to be as popular from actually being as good of an artist. But we going to talk about it tonight. Mr. Lot in the building. What up, Mr. Lot says, I got an idea. I don't know if it will work on YouTube, but what if you did a versus where you and someone takes a sides, or who the better? I'm with it. Who gon' I got Game. Who y'all got? You could pick somebody else. I got Game. Who want to do it? Let me see if I can get 50 on the line, and then we're going to start. Bro, 50 only got one classic album. 50 only got one classic album. Yes, y'all can hit me up for coaching calls. Give me a second. Let me see if I don't know what Slimmy doing. Let me see. I just want to get his quick take on this. Cube can't watch game.
Yo.
Hey Slimmy, I'm on the live stream, but I want your opinion on this.
What's happening?
Give me the five top rappers on the West Coast.
On the West Coast?
Yep.
Oh, so Crooked Eye, The Game, obviously Kendrick, Razzcast, and who else on the West Coast? IDK, I don't know. He coming up, man.
What about do you think Kendrick is better than The Game?
Skill set? No. Better at making music? Yes. The Game and Crooked Eye, they a totally different level. They're a totally different level than Kendrick. But Kendrick, he makes better music. He has way more depth to his music also, in his lyricism. But I think at times, he take a break from being a lyricist to actually deliver a message. Whether that message is good or bad, that's to be determined. That's on the listener.
Yeah. All right. I just wanted to get your thoughts.
What you think?
I think The Game is better.
Yo, wait, you mean overall or you mean like as
overall.
A lyricist or just period? Even making music?
I think The Game is better.
I
don't think I don't think nobody fucking with The Game.
Wait. Are you basing this off albums? Like not album sales, but like they bodies of work?
Yep.
Complete bodies of work?
Yep.
I ain't listened to Game last 2 or 3 albums.
This one that just came out, the documentary 3 that just dropped, I think The Game is better, bro.
I understand why people say that as far as like lyricism, but sometimes I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes his bodies of work, they become kind of mundane, at times. But it's all about preference. Yeah. It's all about preference, man. But I can lyricism. I don't think it's.
Download this documentary 3 and then tell me what you think about it.
All right, bet. My bus about to pull up. I'm about to slide anyway.
All right, bet.
Man. All right, I'll let you soon.
All right, bye.
Peace, chat.
Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the show. Shout out to my dog, Mr. Lotta. I appreciate you. That's a really good idea. I'm just not sure if I can find somebody to be able to debate it. The Game been him since 2003 and it ain't even close. I agree. 100%. Officially a bag chaser today. Shout out to the new chasers. Shout out to focusing on me. We gonna talk about it. Everything complex contradicts. What up, though? I appreciate y'all. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get into the show. Again, make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I don't know if this one showed the way that it's supposed to. Oh, no. We got to get that right. Hello? Yeah, what's happening? What's going on? All right. Oh, my gosh. Crazy. My DoorDasher is supposed to be here soon. I told them to bring up the stuff, and I got an additional tip for them. So hopefully they knock that out. Oh, I messed that up. All right, y'all ready to get into the show? Shout out to the new chasers. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. I appreciate y'all. We rocking out. Let me open this up and then let's get to it. Let me see if I can get that clear. Trying to wait before I start. Here, let me get this tea real quick. Hey, how you doing? Doing all right. There you go. I appreciate you. Live stream, YouTube, stuff like that, recorded videos. Okay. Yeah. I have a very close brother of mine. I'm not trying to hold you up, man. No, you go. Very close brother of mine. His name is Tim. Okay. He has a production company called the Hall Network. Does he? Yes. So I would love to put you in touch with him if possible. Take my email down. Just email me. Because he's shooting for folks all over the city since he recently moved back. Mm. He does all type of cinematography, and he's continuing to build his network. Yeah, just take my email down, bro. All right. And how you spell your first name? Just so Anton, Anton. Okay. Email? Anton Daniels, ANTONDANIELS 413@gmail.com. Yeah, just send me an email and then we'll figure it out. All right, I appreciate you, man. Have a blessing. You too, my friend. All right, All right. Let me see. Mrs. Bailey says, remember when the old folks used to ask, what does he sing? When they didn't recognize the music or the artist. That's how I feel about the game. Mrs. Bailey, you know what? I don't expect for the mainstream or for the ladies or any of that type of stuff to know about the game and all of that stuff. But the game is, oh man. He makes, I've been riding to that album. I've been listening to that and Kanye, him and Ye a lot. I've been listening to all of it. So really, really, really great artist. Somebody says, Greg says you let the DoorDasher into your crib, AD. This ain't my crib. This is my studio. This ain't my house. You know what's so funny when DoorDashers and stuff like that come up here and they see my set and they see everything that I got going on? Everybody that comes in here automatically starts to get interested. I don't record at home like most people. I actually come into the studio. All right, y'all, let's get to it. We got a lot to cover today.
Y'all, I'm so terrified of being fucking miserable. It's like I literally have fucking PTSD around the fucking workforce. Like, I don't know what it feels like to fucking work 5 days a week and just get up every fucking day. Like, I don't want to fucking go. I don't want to do this. Like, I'm fucking miserable. And then when you do have days off, you're just preparing, you're resting because you're fucking exhausted from the work week. You're exhausted from the fucking work week, and then you're just preparing to go fucking back. It's like by the time you fucking blink, the weekend is done, and you're preparing to go back. And it's like, even if you do make a lot of money, you don't have time. You don't have time to, like, you don't have time or the fucking energy or the bandwidth to actually even spend that money. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I'm just terrified of being miserable, and I just feel like we normalize it so much. It's just like, everybody's just like, well, that's what life comes with, being fucking miserable every fucking day of your life. Like, how the fuck is that normal? That's not normal. And then jobs are like, you get in the job market and it's fucking miserable too. Like, the jobs are not paying nothing. Why the fuck do I live in New York and y'all are offering minimum wage $19? Why are you offering anything under $30 in New York City? What the fuck are people supposed to do with that? And then these are full-time jobs offering fucking minimum wage. Like, nigga, I would need another job to even support myself. But now my energy is gone because I work for you full-time. It's just a lot. And then they make you jump through so many fucking hoops. And it's like, you go through the fucking job market and you have jobs and you start to learn what you don't want and what you don't like, and then it's like everything that you don't like is what's available. Like, I know exactly what I don't want. It's just, I'm tired, y'all. Like,
So let me ask y'all a question, right? Because I got a lot of comments on this. I got a lot of thoughts for this, but let me ask y'all a question, right? I may be completely removed. I may be out of the loop, but let me just say this. Minimum wage at $19 an hour, $19, $20 an hour, right? We're going to get into New York. We're going to get into a lot of stuff. I'm laughing too, but I'm really trying to understand something. If you're making or you get an opportunity for a job with no skill set, no specialization, no degrees, no anything, thank you, Wayne. I appreciate that. And you get an opportunity at $19 an hour, is that a bad thing? Because I tend to think that most people's problems come from how much it costs for them to live because they are not truly limiting the amount of money that you have to spend on stuff. Some people say $19 an hour is a lot in a lot of cities. I would also say one of the things that people don't consider when they talk about where you live is New York's rent may be higher, but they have public transportation to limit the amount of money that you have to spend on things that you would spend money on in other cities. So if you live in Milwaukee, for example, and you choose not to catch the bus, in which Milwaukee is not a city that's completely avoidant of public transportation, but you have you're less likely to need a car in New York. Every time I visit New York, one of the things that I know that I have to do or that I don't have to do is rent a car. When my homie moved to New York a while ago, the first thing that he did was he sold his Escalade. He sold his Escalade. And I said, dog, because I wasn't thinking about it at the time. I said, what made you sell your truck? He said, well, I don't need it because I'm going to be living in New York for the next couple of years. He says, I don't need a car because I'm going to be living in New York for the next couple of years. And he said, bro, if you look at New York, if you look at the cars in New York, a lot of them, especially the cabs and stuff, they got these bumpers on the front and the back, or people that don't have these extra bumpers on the front and the back, they cars be messed up because the people get so close or people not tripping about running into your car. And I'm like, well, that makes sense. I said, so how much you going to be saving a month? He said, between gas, car payments, all of that stuff. I said, yeah. He said, probably over $2,000 a month. He said, yeah, my rent probably going to be higher, but I could save a whole lot of money because I'm not going to need no car anymore. I said, so what you taking with you? He sold everything. He sold everything. And he was like, yo, I'm just going to be hustling and going to get it. The only time that I'm really going to need my place is to sleep. She said that I can't work for $19 an hour. She said the minimum that they should be paying for minimum wage in New York is $30 an hour. Thank you, P. Shank. I'm going to be reading that super chat shortly. $30 an hour. Am I just completely removed in that I believe that you should minimize the amount of money that you're paying for your daily expenses, that you shouldn't be buying and paying a car note, that Lion Super Bowl says, F that, I still need a car. Yeah, but that's a preference. That's not a necessity. That's what I'm saying. If you live in an urban environment, you're buying a car and you're willing to pay for it because that's not a necessity. That's something that you prefer. I caught public transportation into the studio today. That's not something that I feel like I need. That's a want. In Miami, there are a lot of people that feel like they don't need a car. You know how the gig workers get it done in Miami? The Grubhubbers, the DoorDashers, and the Uber Eats, you know what they use? A scooter. They don't, because the weather is not cold. And when the weather is a little chilly, they just throw on a motorcycle jacket or they throw on a jacket or whatever, and they get it popping. They use bikes and scooters in New York and Miami, and in some parts of Los Angeles, they use bikes and scooters. They don't even use a car. They go back and forth to their regular job on a regular scooter or on an electric bike. A lot of people are now they're not even getting scooters no more. They getting e-bikes. And people are running up a bag and they're delivering the stuff with no additional cost. They don't have the cost of tires. They don't have the cost of oil changes. They don't have the cost of gas. They don't have the cost of regular maintenance and all of that stuff. They basically hustling on scooters and e-bikes now. A lot of people are riding to work on scooters and e-bikes. I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. We have a car industry, and I love cars. I love cars. I love motorcycles. I love it all. But I'm just saying, bro. Yes, and that's true too. When I was chilling in Miami last time I was there, when I see all of these Grubhubs and stuff, yo, they actually got robots doing the deliveries now. Somebody said it's not a necessity, but you are limited without having your own reliable transportation. Okay, what are you limited to? What are you missing out on? Tell me what you're missing out on. I'm curious. I want to know. What are you missing out on when you decide that you don't have a car? Because I think that's a lie. If you live in a major city, I'm not talking about you living off far out in the suburbs somewhere because you chose to live out in the suburbs because you wanted to be bougie. If you live in a major city, what are you missing out on? Because if y'all just talking about the hoes, and that's a whole nother conversation, that means that you're distracted. What are you missing out on? In addition to that, right? Let me also say this. I have been seeing so many videos from women, ladies, come on back to the front of the congregation. I have been seeing so many videos from women of them crying. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm so tired of working. I'm so tired. I don't want to get a job anymore. I just want to sit at home and do nothing. I looked at a report, and I started to bring this up on Friday, but we got into different conversations with call-ins. I looked at a report that said 100% of the people that have dropped out of the workforce this year are women. Listen to what I'm saying. 100% of the people that have dropped out of the workforce are women. What happened to equality? What happened to y'all wanting the same rights and the same, but see, y'all want the same rights and the opportunities. You don't want the outcomes. What happened to y'all saying that y'all wanted the same rights as men and that y'all wanted to have the same everything as guys? Because what I see from most people today is they are basically saying, nah, Freaky Jason, nah, we're not interested in doing it. We thought that we wanted it. We thought that this is what we wanted. We thought that this is what was popping. But you know what? I changed my mind. I see so many people saying that they changed their mind and they do not want the same things. Oh man, bro. There's so many women that's like, yo, I'm out. I'm done. Take me out of the workforce, coach. Get me up out of there. I'm not interested, coach. What happened? Why don't y'all want to work as much? Why y'all not hustling? Why y'all not focused on, making sure that y'all running up a bag and all of this other type of stuff? What happened to that? Why are women crying? I'm asking y'all a specific question. Why are women crying about having to work or having to go to work and they're acting like somebody stole their puppy and kicked them down the stairs and that something is wrong? Why are women dropping out of the workforce? I don't want to see y'all dropping out of the workforce. I want to see y'all stand in the workforce. I want to see y'all focused. I want to see y'all hustling. I want to see you as a 50-50 contributor into your household. I want to see you guys absolutely dedicating yourself to the grind. I want y'all to be hustling. I want y'all to be running up a bag. I want y'all to be taking care of business. I want y'all to be the modern Renaissance women that you've always projected and claimed yourself to be. Somebody said, can you change the view? What, of the woman? Y'all want to see her? There you go. I had a woman that told me, she said, I didn't even know that I didn't want to work until I got in a relationship to where I didn't have to work. She said, I've been working and grinding and hustling my whole life. Now, I'm not interested in any raises. I'm not interested in any promotions. I don't want to go further up. I just want to do what I wanted. I want to focus on charity work. I want to focus on this. I want to focus on giving back to the community. I want to focus on all of that. I'm like, what happened to all of this modern Renaissance woman thing that y'all had going on? I don't even think that women want, listen. This woman is echoing the sentiment of a lot of women. They can get a job. Y'all can find a job. Y'all can get a job. Y'all can get some of the best jobs. You can find and get things that you say that you can't get. Y'all don't want to work. I see women on the internet begging. Oh my God, y'all are begging. Single mothers on a regular basis. Oh my God, I can't find it. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get evicted. So you didn't know that you needed money to pay the rent before you started not paying the rent? I believe we are going to have a war within ourselves, and that we're going to go back to the fundamentals of what relationships were. Because the nature of who y'all are is already what it's supposed to be. I believe that we are going to go to a space where women, the number one priority for most women now that they've had an opportunity to suffer, is going to be finding the right man to ultimately retire them from having to work. I don't believe in any way, shape, or form that this is what y'all like. Even when it comes to outcomes, I don't think y'all care about the big car if it requires for you to have to work 60, 70, and 80 hours a week. I don't think that y'all care about that. I think that there's levels. There's women that want to get out of poverty. That's a level one. So they're willing to work, but they don't want to. And then there's women that work, but put on a good front because they don't want to seem like that, they don't want to work. And then there's women that just need you know what? If I can get somebody in here that's a decent man that can carry some of this load and take some of this burden off of me, Lord, send the man. And so they willing to work, but they don't want to have to hustle. They don't want to need to do this as much as they doing it, right? And it is women that just figured it out and they was like, you know what? This is for the birds. This don't make me happy. If I don't never have to get into the workforce ever again, then I'm cool. I'm cool off this. And then there's that group of women. And it's a lot of, but ultimately I think that it all leads to the fact that they are not interested in dealing with the things that they have to deal with on a regular basis. I don't know any woman, not one in this world, personally, that looks forward to getting up and going to work in the morning. Not one. Even the ones that have their own business. I don't know one, not a woman, not a soul, not a voice, that if you ask them, hey, listen, you ready to go to work in the morning? And they're going to be like, yeah. Not a soul. They wear their careers on their sleeve. Yep, I'm this. Yep, I do this for a living. Whatever, they do what they got to do. I don't know a woman on this earth, not personally, that looks forward to getting up to go to work in the morning. They hate it. They hate it. Hate it with a passion. Attitudes be bad. And y'all be frumpy. Regular work for women makes you ugly. Women that work like men lose some of their femininity. They get frumpy. They skin be bad. They suffer a lot. And they don't look even the ones that look good don't look as good as they could look if they didn't work. The women that look the best are usually the ones that don't have a job. As crazy as that sounds. The women that look best are the ones that spend all of their time making sure that they look good, feel good, and smell good. That's the honest to God truth. The women that can't, because it's hard to balance both. It's hard for guys to grind and become super duper successful and still spend a majority of their time on gym and all of this other type of stuff, the women that look the best, this is just the honest to God truth, don't spend their time focusing on what kind of work that they have to get done for their job every day. They do Pilates, they do aerobics, they do running, they do skincare routines, they sleep a lot, and they have a lot of sex. Now, ain't nobody gonna tell you it just that straight out. They work out a lot, they shop, they do skincare routines, they find passion projects, and they have a lot of sex. Those are the ones that look and smell, and they have great attitudes. They have great women that have to work a lot, have very bad attitudes, and they don't even see. They have the rest and be face on them all the time. Run into one of them chicks. They look different. They got a whole different aura on them. And guys know that they already taken. And they look different. And people stare at them. That's not a rich class of women. That has nothing to do with being rich. That has everything to do with being intentional with how they want to live their lives and who they align themselves with to ultimately get into that type of space. I'm telling you. The reason why she crying and she got the Cisco head and she looked toe up and frumpy is because she broken and she tired. Somebody Gully Blanchard says hard-working women be hands. Hard-working women be handsome. Yo, that's crazy. That's a crazy saying, bro. You gotta stop, man. You gotta stop. You can't keep doing this. I ain't gonna be able to get through the show the way that I want to. If you keep saying stuff like that, you gotta stop. Oh, shoot. Oh man, I hate this show. My chat is the worst chat ever. My chat, I got the worst chat ever, bro. I have the most diabolical worst chat in the world. Facts. Make sure you guys hit a like for the hour. Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord help me, God. I need help. Let me read some of these super chats. Good morning, Anton Daniels and the Millionaire. What up, P Shank? What up, Shank? What up, Shank? Tyrone says people today are lazy, weak, and entitled. They make poor decisions and cry, then vote for people and policies that make every blue city expensive. Carrington Love Jr. says, Anton, you got to figure out how to curate the funniest moments of the Millionaire Morning Show and create a yearly recap. 2025 was hilarious. Bro, we create so much content, bro. Just a brown girl in America, Nikki says, I would never make a video, but what up, Nick? What up, Nick? Chris Cunningham with a couple super chats says, if women are out the workforce, will prices drop? If women was out the workforce, the world would start to correct itself. Honest to God. Everything would go back to right. Their face be all tired looking. They be exhausted every day. They be tired, exhausted. Women is willing to give up. They willing to give up all of this. They'll give it all up just for the sake of being able to chill and have a good time and a good conversation. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. And you won't be looking like a little boy. Then you won't be looking like a little boy. This story disturbed me. Your car sent this to me this morning. I said that I was going to add it into the show before we really get into the thick of things. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Tonight, a woman in Mobile says she's getting a sense of justice after police say she experienced severe burns when a friend threw a heated chemical on her.
Today, a jury found Quisha Williams guilty of first-degree assault. Our Jordan Lasser joining us now in the studio.
And Jordan, it was emotional for the victim and her family.
Lenise and Cameron, it was. Jasmine Clausell had invited a longtime friend to stay with her, hoping to help her get back on her feet. But prosecutors say that friendship turned violent after Clausell asked her to leave. Over a year later, Clausell was left with severe, life-changing burns on her left side. Today, a jury found the woman responsible guilty.
Justice was served today.
On February 25th, 2025, Jasmine Clausell says an argument with longtime friend Quisha Williams turned violent after Clausell asked her to move out. Mobile police say Williams heated a chemical substance in the microwave, threw it on Clausell, and then pulled a gun. Clausell's grandfather testified he saw the women tussling before hearing Clausell scream that something had been thrown on her. Clausell spent 2 months in the hospital with severe burns across much of her body, mainly on her left side. She lost her left eardrum and hearing, has limited vision in her left eye, and underwent multiple skin grafts. She's also undergoing laser treatments every 2 weeks to reduce scarring. After hearing testimony, the jury found Williams guilty of first-degree assault.
Me and my family were just grateful that the jurors, they just seen what it was and justice was served.
Clausell's mother says she is thankful beyond words for prosecutors and the community for rallying behind her daughter.
I am satisfied with the verdict. We appreciate all of you for all the prayers.
She has healed really well. I mean, it's no way that you can come back from this as far as like, you know, it not being a thing and all of that. But I will say that considering the circumstances, she has healed exceptionally well, because initially when I was first hearing it and I seen the first pictures, I was thinking to myself, oh man, just go ahead and take me out. You know, I don't want to exist in the same way that a lot of people exist on this earth. And that's just me personally. And we'll get back to the story shortly. But I don't want to exist in the same way that everybody else says that it's okay to exist. Like, I'm one of those people to where, like, when I see people with extreme deformities, or people that are slow, or people that are born with a limp neck or some crazy or whatever it is, I just be thinking to myself, this is all you doing. You're on this earth suffering, and you're miserable for the sake of being miserable. There's people out here in the streets that since they were born, they will never ever get any box. They will never ever probably experience true love. They'll never live a normal life. They'll never be able to get a regular job. They'll never probably get rich. Like, the whole American dream and the logic behind life, in my opinion, is to be able to have the option to make the right choices versus the wrong choices, or at least the perception of choice, right? He said, AD, chill, bro. Can we be honest or can we be real? Can we be honest? There's people that will always have to be cleaned up behind them from the time that they're born all the way up until the time that they pass away. And they are a burden. They're literally a burden on their family. They're a burden on their mother, on their father. I seen a video of a woman that basically she was willing to admit that she was relieved and happy when her relative passed away, that she was taken care of for 13 years. For 13 years. Do you know how miserable that is? For every waking moment, from the time that a person is born all the way up until a time a person passes away, that you're basically taking care of somebody, that they'll never truly experience life in the same way that everybody else will. That's why I make the most of my time. That's why I do everything that I can do. And I try to make the most of my situation. I'll never complain about my lot in life, considering that I have all of my faculties, that I'm relatively normal thinking. I'll never, ever, ever complain. Ever. Some people complain because they not a NBA size person to where they could have made it into the league and all of that. Because I see people and I work with people on a regular basis, and I think to myself, it could be that. It could be that. We have all of our faculties. We have the use of all of our limbs. We have the opportunity to get up and do and work our butts off and run it up and become or make our lives whatever we want to make our lives. And we sit there and we complain. We complain. And it's people that don't have no opportunity to ever have the same life as you. And I will never complain. I can't complain because at the end of the day, I walk down and I see this guy and he got one leg, one arm, and he in a wheelchair and he pushing himself with the little button. And I be like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for the opportunity to wake up with all of my limbs. Bro, it's so bad, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's in the food. I don't know what it is. It's so bad out here now as far as, I don't know if people are having too many kids or what. You got to be thankful if you have a child that is normal. If your kid don't have no kind of deformities or they're in no way retarded or something like that, you just be like, oh man, it's almost like winning the lottery. They don't got no birth defects or something like that. It's like, okay, I can work with this. I'm good. Nothing that they can do right now is nothing that a good belt can't solve. If you have a kid and they don't have anything wrong with them, that's one third of the journey right there, is to have a kid that's born that don't have any problems with them. The second half of the journey is hopefully your kid don't be gay. If you can get to those two there, oh man, you won at life. You won at life. You won at life. Seriously, no deformities or drawbacks and no gayness. It's like, all right, okay, you know what? God is good all the time. Hallelujah. I'm 2/3 of the way there. Okay, so now the rest of it is on me. All right, I'm going to make sure that I invest in a 529. I'm going to put him in the right position. Make sure that they not. And then the last one is just to make sure that they don't end up in the streets. Somebody says gay as a second is what? No, it's not. It's not. Yo, in today's time, it's not. It's not crazy. It's not crazy to make sure and to ensure, or for people to be absolutely relieved that their child likes the opposite sex. It's not crazy. Now, all you got to do is the last part. Get them saved, raise them in the admonition of God, and try to make sure that they don't end up in the streets. If it's a guy, try to make sure he ain't a YN. Then if it's a girl, you got to make sure that she don't end up as a busto. Other than that, you won, bro. You won. You won at life. It's a sad day and time when you get to the point to where the victories is normalcy. The victory, man, listen, forget getting rich. Forget them being super successful. Hey, can they get born with no birth defects? Can they not be gay? And then can they be a regular person that live a normal life? Oh, man, we won. Yo, give me a high five. That's how when Leslie graduated, we literally sat and we kicked it and we was like, yo, we did good, man. Ain't that crazy? Yo, we did good. We got our daughter through. She's straight. She got a house. No defects. She's a normal person. She loves Taekwondo. She's decent. She gives back. She helps her friends. We literally get high five. Listen, we won. We did everything that we were supposed to do. Everything now is points on the board. Everything now is points on the board. Because we was like, yo, we did it. We rocked it. Knocked it out of the park. Raised in a 2-parent household. No problems, no issues, no trouble. Got you through. You good. I felt like I won at life. Everything else now it's just like, all right, cool. Can't say nothing about, can't say you ain't a good father, can't say you ain't a good mother, can't say you ain't hold it down, can't say that you ain't protect them. You did everything that you're supposed to do. All right, now it's time to party. Let's go get a Lamborghini. Let's go get a Lamborghini. That's how we was looking at it. Yo, you know what? We did really good.
The prayers.
Williams, who is from Georgia, had been prohibited from leaving Alabama while on probation. She will stay in Metro Jail as she awaits sentencing.
We're very happy with this verdict. This can bring some sense of justice for the injury and Clausell suffered at the defendant's hands. This week was the time in court where that was proven beyond a reasonable doubt.
Assault first is a Class B felony in Alabama. Williams could face up to 20 years in prison. Her sentencing is scheduled for October 4th. Reporting live in studio, Jordan Lassiter, Fox 10 News.
I think she deserves significantly more than that. I think that she deserves significantly more than whatever it is, up to 20 years in prison. In my opinion, A, jealousy. B, you took advantage of the fact that somebody actually tried to look out for you. And this is another reason why you have to be careful who you're friends with. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be generous. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be friends. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be open to new experiences or looking out for people, but you have to be very careful on if you're protecting your space the way that you're supposed to protect your space, because there are people that will come in and absolutely ruin your life. It could have been a form of jealousy. She opened up her home to this girl, and then this girl ultimately was like, yeah, let me throw boiling whatever on this girl and ruin your life. She tried to kill you. She tried to take your life. And you'll never, ever, here's the worst part about it, You're never going to be able to come back from that. Like, you can't heal your body. You can't heal your face, your whole side. You can't even hear out of your ear no more. Nope. I think it should be something much worse than that. I don't know what it is. I don't know what you can do. I don't know how you play it. I don't know. I don't know what the proper what is the right sentence for something like this? What do you give somebody? 20 maybe 20 years is sufficient. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But it just seemed like you tried to kill her. You intentionally went and boiled this stuff and threw this on her and tried to take her out. And you took her kindness for weakness. I don't know what the proper sentence is for that. Somebody in the chat tell me what the proper sentence is for this. Somebody said 20 to life, 20, 30 is cool too, 10 to 20 years. As a burn survivor, it's not fun. She looks rough. Can she be charged with attempted murder? A 20 piece is cool. Maybe 20 years is a long time. I don't know, man. It's just like, in my opinion, you robbed a person of certain experiences in their life that they're supposed to have. And you took that from them. You stole that from them. And apparently some of it got back on her because the girl started fighting her back. I don't know if you could say justice was served in this situation. Can you say justice was served in this situation? I don't know, man. I don't see it. I don't see how justice was served in this situation in the same way that maybe other people may have thought so. But I don't know. Maybe y'all think that she got the proper amount. Let me know inside of the chat exactly what y'all think that she should have got. And if you think 20 years is fine. Freak says 35 years. She planned it out. She had time to think and went through with the act of harm. Somebody said, Ski says 45 to 60. I don't know what the proper sentence is for something like this. This is that's a lot. This is crazy. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of y'all super chats. Mr. Merv says, my son Roman is 13, severely autistic, and people have no idea how crucial it gets. I laugh every time I hear people complaining about life. So Mr. Merv, let me ask you a question. And I'm asking this because I don't know, not because, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to make a point or anything, but I'm genuinely asking this question. Is there a way for them to be able to know that the kid will be severely autistic before the child is born, right? I know that there is a way for them to be able to figure out if the child is going to be, like, if they're going to be deformed as far as physically. But is it a way for them, and y'all let me know inside of the chat, is it a way for them to be able to tell whether or not your child is going to be autistic like that, severely autistic? I don't even know what autistic means. What does that mean? What does it mean when a person says that they're autistic? I don't even know what that means anymore. The ATL Flipper says, it's sad, Anton, that you have to mention being great parents. What y'all have done should be a norm. I agree. A norm as parents. Thanks for being an example. Brock says, one of my biggest fears about getting old is that I become a burden to my sons because I have a hard time taking care of myself and they have to do it. Let's take me out. Go ahead, take me out and put me back to pasture. Put me out to pasture. Look at sister. Sister, you showing out. Oh my God. Sis. 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 Oh my God. Good day, Mr. AD and the Millionaire Morning Show chat. I am grateful for your Bag Chasers community elevating me to make smart money moves. Special shout out to Yakar and the Bible Chasers and the Patreon and the Discord that elevate my character also. Yakar returns my donations to the collection plate. So here's my offering to the Millionaire Morning Show instead. Love you and God bless. Shout out to my girl, sister. We love you, and I'm very, 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 very thankful that I'm very thankful that you find value financially and character-wise in what we do inside of the Patreon, what we do inside of the Bag Chasers. You know, you always look out, and we always try to do what we can to make sure that we add as much value as we can. I love you. We appreciate you. And it's dope. It's really dope that we have so many great people inside of the Patreon, inside of the Bag Chasers. And we running it up in there, man. And shout out to everybody that sees value in what we do. I love you. I appreciate you. I love you. And there's no way for me to say it other than to say and to acknowledge you and to acknowledge everything that you do. Let me give my girl sister another round of applause. Now, I wonder how many other platforms is adding value to the people that watch their content as much as we are inside of the Bag Chasers. What up, sis? I love you, sis. All right. Sis in the building. Sis said, I got you. We running it up over here. All right. Shout out to my girl, sis. I know, Tia. I agree. All right, y'all. We got to continue on with the show. Shout out to my girl, sis. Karmelo Anthony. We got to revisit Karmelo Anthony, and then we're going to go over to Sean Grayson right after that. Karmelo Anthony. So we've been having this debate, and we've been going back and forth for a while about Karmelo Anthony. And one of the things that we've been talking about is whether he should be granted a new trial. And if he was granted a new trial, would it be a possibility that he would get exonerated, I guess. Exonerated, and that it was justification for him killing Austin Metcalf. Let's get into it, y'all.
Welcome back into Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Anna Marsick. We do have some breaking news to bring you as Karmelo Anthony has lost his bid for a new trial. This post coming from Fox News just moments ago, breaking: a judge denies motion for a new trial for Karmelo Anthony. And we also have this coming from Fox News, breaking it all down as a Texas judge denied Karmelo Anthony a new trial on Saturday after his attorneys argued that courtroom restrictions, hearings held without Anthony present, and the handling of unwritten agreement between his former lawyers and prosecutors violated his rights. You can see this post on your screen coming from Fox News. Just in, Karmelo Anthony loses his bid for a new trial, keeping his murder conviction and 35-year prison sentence in place. A Texas judge rejects the 19-year-old's challenge after 2 days of testimony over courtroom restrictions, hearings held without Anthony present, and a disputed unwritten agreement between his former lawyers and prosecutors. Anthony was convicted in June of stabbing and killing 17-year-old Austin Metcalf during an altercation at a Frisco track meet. His legal fight now moves forward on direct appeal. So to go more in depth on this, retired district judge Michael Chitty denied Anthony's request after reviewing that motion, court record, evidence and arguments, briefs, and relevant case law that was according to his order. Now, the order did not detail his reasoning for that decision, but that decision leaves Anthony's murder conviction and 35-year prison sentence in place. His challenge will continue on direct appeal. Chitty heard heard 2 days of testimony in McKinney, Texas, after the judge was removed from, the former judge was removed who presided over Anthony's murder trial, Judge John Roach, from the remaining trial court proceedings earlier this week. That judge had found that a reasonable outside observer could question whether Roach appeared impartial after he had publicly said that the jury got it right and defended several of his trial decisions. Now, at the center of the new trial hearing was an oral agreement between Anthony's original defense attorneys and prosecutors to keep potentially damaging character evidence involving both sides from reaching the jury. Former lead defense attorney Mike Howard had testified that he understood the agreement to allow Anthony to testify if he stayed focused on the confrontation under the tent at the Frisco track meet. On the final day of the trial, which was yesterday, prosecutors told the defense that the agreement would not apply if Anthony took to the stand and that the defense had opened the door to character evidence. Howard had said that dispute led to a heated break in the proceedings and made Anthony unwilling to testify. So once again, that latest breaking news coming in today is that Karmelo Anthony has lost his bid for a new trial. That was the big news in this case that we were still waiting to hear, and it looks like we do have our answer now. We're going to slide away right now for a quick 2-minute commercial break. Our coverage continues.
So let me go ahead and have this conversation with you guys, because you know what the worst thing about this is? It's not the fact that he's lost the appeal. The worst thing about this is that the family has to continue to relive this over and over and over and over again, which basically tells you that the torture that comes along with knowing that your son was killed and stabbed over a confrontation, and now you have people trying to assassinate his character, saying that, oh man, he was a racist and all of this other type of stuff. And he was a kid that got killed at a track meet. And his father will probably never have peace. And his brother will probably never have peace. And this whole situation and all of the people that was there and witnessed it, they will never have peace. You know why? Because now that we have social media, on top of the fact that he gets to go through the appeal process, which he's entitled to, because that is what, our U.S. Constitution allows for us to do inside of this republic. They will never have peace for all the way up until the time that they pass away. And you know what else? He'll probably get off on good time. He'll probably get off and be out of prison. And then they have to also relive this whole situation. Tanisha Brown, you said both things can be true. Like what? Drew says, the F are you talking about? Yes, he was wrong, but the kid was a racist. Yo mama a racist. Your black mama and your black daddy is a racist. Your white mama and your white daddy is a racist. Listen, man, let me say this again for the people in the back, and I stand on this. Is it wrong to be racist? Absolutely. Should you be killed for how you feel? Absolutely not. And nor can we confirm nor deny, or that we have any evidence that shows that this boy is supposed to be dead. I don't know if y'all understand this, but I'm going to tell y'all one more time. I believe that he got involved with that little chick, his little girlfriend, Valeria. Didn't they say that's what her name was? Valeria. The text messages revealed showed that he got emotional because she broke up with him. He decided to go and crash out. He was feeling some type of way because he had boxolitis. He also premeditated that he was looking to stab somebody and lick the blood off of a knife. And then he went and found him a confrontation that he would be able to justify that's what he was going to do. And at the end of the day, He decided that he was going to remove the soul out of somebody else's body. And that's exactly what he did. You know, I've seen confrontations in schools and in high schools, and I've never known anybody to want to go and stab somebody in the heart and lick the blood off of the knife as a result of it. People used to get it cracking and scrap after school. Hey, man, bro, it was a whole movie back in the day in the 80s called, I think it was called 3 O'Clock High or something like that, where the dude was just waiting all the way up until 3 o'clock before he went and did a fight. There was a whole movie back in the day called, I think it was called 3 O'Clock. Let me look this up. I think it was called 3 O'Clock High, right? Yeah. Yep. 3 O'Clock High. I remember that movie like the back of my head because it was in the 80s. It was a whole movie called 3 O'Clock High where the dude was like, yo, after 3 o'clock when school in, that's your way. I don't remember people looking to stab somebody. And maybe it's the feminization of men. Maybe men have become weak. Maybe boys have become weak. Now that we have all of these sassy maddies inside of the chat sitting here going back and forth trying to tell me, but he was a racist. You a racist. I'm not sure that I know a black family that don't have racist matriarchs and patriarch in it. I'm not sure that I know a family that didn't tell their kid, don't you bring no white girl or no white boy home. People, all kind of stuff. Bro, people live every day that feel some type of, pedophiles is out here walking away and you know exactly where they live. They have to register for the sex offender registry and they're walking around every single day. And you speak to them as you walk past their house. Hi, neighbor. And you telling me this boy deserved to be killed from somebody that was crashing out because he had a breakup with his girlfriend, and y'all trying to justify this. Y'all trying to justify it. That's crazy to me. It's crazy to me how y'all are justifying that it's okay for this boy to have stabbed this boy premeditated. The text messages show that it's premeditated. I see people jump on social media, and black and white, and be openly racist. But that bully was a bully. Shut the fuck up. Y'all, there's bullies out here right now. And y'all don't do nothing about it. You getting bullied in your own relationship. And you ain't doing nothing about it. You won't even walk away from the bully that's bullying you inside of your own relationship that you live next to her every day. Then you ain't doing nothing about that. Ain't no way y'all gonna sit here and justify that this boy that murdered another boy deserves to be free. Deserves to be free. Some of y'all kids is bullies. You know what? And I seen this coming a long time ago. Especially not even from the kids, from the grown folks. I seen this victim Olympian mindset coming a long time ago. When they start talking about online bullying, I seen this coming a mile away, bro. I did. I remember it had to be at least 10, 12 years ago where they was talking about being bullied online and people were feeling some type of way and kids were having mental breakdowns and stuff like that from stuff that people said on the internet. I said, oh, we going into a weak society. it's not even the kids, it's the parents. The parents are the suckers. The parents are the suckers. The parents are the ones that's emotional crash dummies that's putting it in their children that it's okay to go and stab somebody. What do you mean you walking? Bro, if you caught your kid walking around with a knife at school, bro, what are you doing? You got a knife at school? And y'all be thinking that this is okay. Y'all justifying it from another kid, but if it was your kid, you would have had a ass. You would have had a neck. What you mean? What? What do you mean? This is stupid. This is wild. This is absolutely wild, bro.
Nation, Karmelo Anthony will not get a new trial, leaving his murder conviction in place in the death of Austin Metcalf. Anthony will continue to serve his 35-year sentence. His bid for a new trial was focused on what happened before the trial took place, as well as an informal agreement between prosecutors and the defense over what evidence would be presented. Criminal and civil attorney Mark Reichel joins us now to help us walk through all of this. Mark, we're just getting this information into the newsroom, so I know that you've had an opportunity to review this and you're more familiar. Exactly what does this mean for us? Does this officially end the case, Mark, or is there more to learn?
No. So when somebody's sentenced to a sentence like that, which is 35 years, and almost a life sentence, there'll be plenty of time to relitigate this exact matter. Right away, they brought it up and said, new lawyers said, hey, there was this gentleman's agreement, much to our client's detriment. Shouldn't have happened, it was bad practice on their part. So they wanted to get in there right away and get a new trial. Look, it's been denied. He's going to go up on appeal. But while that's pending, they can continue to gather evidence, do some research, investigate, get more evidence about this gentleman's agreement, kind of look at the record, determine how it really prejudiced him, refile a motion. You can file a new trial motion on new evidence just about any time. So this is not the end of this case, not at all.
Mark, and I guess that's the question. Those of us who have been watching it from the outside, I have to believe that people at home were like, what new information can be gleaned here? That it would seem that the defense and the prosecution both laid out everything that they had. What were the grounds that Karmelo was arguing?
Well, before the trial started, they said, look, if Karmelo takes a stand, we've got some stuff which is going to embarrass him. We're going to try to impeach him and say, oh, yeah, you're such a great guy. Well, what about these things you did just before the crime happened? It's going to, inflame tensions because we're really polarized in this case. At the same time, they said to the defense, we know you have evidence about the victims here, those, the victims and the bad stuff they've done beforehand. If we can both sides agree to keep this out, we can just talk about what happened that day. And they both thought that was the logical thing to do. It'd be better for the jury. It'd be better for the public. It'd be better for the trial. And it wouldn't influence the judge or even the jury and so forth and so on. So they cut that gentleman's agreement. I got to be honest with you, similar stuff like that happens, but if it's really that extensive of this gentleman's agreement and it wasn't litigated beforehand, like by pretrial motions, it's a little strange.
Mark, help me here with this here. Anthony's team dropped plans for him to testify in this trial. Do you think that hurt him? Is that something that they regret now?
It's tough. Most defense attorneys, we don't put our client on the stand. And that's because it's going to come down whether the jury likes you or not. You can be doing a great job in your trial where you're attacking. You put your client on and it's over. If they don't like him, everything good you've done goes away. So that's the problem.
Mark Reichel, I want to thank you again for jumping in here with this breaking news and walking us through that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is a mess. And I wish they would go ahead and put it to rest. Listen, he did something that he wasn't supposed to do. There's no reason for him to do it, and we all know this. There's no reason for him to have to even been in that situation. And I guess that's the biggest part about it is that this was completely avoidable. When I talk to people, specifically black people, and they say stuff to me like, oh, Anton, but he's this, and Anton, but he's that. Everybody outside, whether it's me or whether it's my child, everybody outside is somebody different than whatever it is that I am. I cannot sit here and go through life trying to control what other people do. What I can do is I can control how I react to it or how I'm put into a situation in the first place. I can determine whether I even want to interact with you or not. I don't even have to respond to you. I don't even have to. You can sit there and you can say something to me, and I don't even have to respond to you. I don't even have to be in the same place as you. I choose not to be in certain environments that I don't think is conducive for what I got going on. Everything is based on, unless it's just some random bullet that just hit. For some reason, I've been able to, at 44 years old, as well as everybody else that's watching this right now, have been able to survive and get to the point in our lives where fights, disagreements, raising the hood, being in some of the worst conditions. Some of us had to go through metal detectors to go to school. We had to go through that's the environment that we lived in. I had to go through a metal detector before I went into class, before I went to school. That's the environment. And I went to one of the better high schools in the city. A metal detector. Most of us that have been raised in certain environments had to go through metal detectors. We had to catch buses. We had to go through a whole lot to get to the point to where we are. If you're able to survive to be 30, 40 years old, then that means at some point in your life, regardless of whether you want to admit it or not, because I know some of y'all still want to keep it real, that means that at some point you had to have an elevated level of thinking to ultimately put yourself in a better position. Otherwise, you would be gone. Because everybody that wasn't on that type of time, they under the ground, they buried. Nope, I'm not gonna remove myself from it, because we all at some point had to go through some adversity in our life to make a more informed decision of whether we were going to survive or whether we was going to crash out. And I think that the thing that I'm bothered about most about this conversation is I'm more disappointed in the adults than I am from the kids. Because the kids in a lot of instances are a reflection of the things that the adults teach them. This is why I say that the culture is trash. I'm more disappointed in the adults that are discussing this than I am at the kids, because the adults are the ones that are reaffirming. They are affirming that this is the right decision. Instead of us saying, yo, no, this don't make sense. Hey, we got to be emotionally intelligent. Yo, I think that they were smarter back in the civil rights movement than at least in the civil rights movement, they were intentional. They were intentional. Most of the stuff that we think and that we break down and we say, oh my God, this is what happened, or that was intentional. They planned that. They set that up. They were thinkers. How do we devolve to not be thinkers? Rosa Parks was a setup. They seen what happened with another young girl, with the dark-skinned girl that wasn't as good looking as Rosa Parks, and they said, wait a minute, hold on, wait. That's crazy. If we recreate this situation and we bait them into getting in this situation again, we can get national traction, and we gonna make you a star. You're gonna be the poster child for the civil rights movement, Rosa, and we're gonna put you in this bus, and we're gonna sit you in the front, and we're gonna have somebody confront you, and then we're gonna ultimately use this in order to. Why aren't we thinkers in the same way that we used to be thinkers? Now we're reactors. We react negatively in the wrong way at every single thing that happens to us. But back then, it was almost like we were smarter. We were wiser. You can't abolish slavery without having a tactical response. You can't get rid of racism the way that they got racism without being strategic and tactical in how you gonna move. You can't get the type of gains that we got. Now we got finesse because they hijacked the civil rights movement, but let's be clear. Everything that they did, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, all of the people that we champion, we don't really study them, but in reality, they were very, very intentional with how they went about moving and how they did what they did, which led to the freedoms and the opportunities that you have today. Now everything is, oh my God, this should have crashed out. When did we become Neanderthals? Are you telling me them with less opportunity were smarter and wiser? They were more successful too. Let's be clear about that. Them with less opportunity, less access, less money, less resources were actually smarter and we're getting dumber to where the adults are now thinking like children and justifying dumb children-like behaviors? Why are we getting dumber? Why are the people that got the... Because the dumb ones... Come on, let's talk about it for a second. The dumb ones didn't get the microphone. We didn't champion the dummies. We only allowed for the people that were able to articulate them. Notice how you don't get any old footage of the dummies talking. The only sound bites came from Malcolm and them. It wasn't until they started getting on the news and they started interviewing y'all from killing each other in your own communities that we realized how dumb some of the people were inside of our community. Listen to what I'm saying. You don't get sound bites from ignoramus dummies, from Neanderthals, from the 40s, 50s, 30s, 60s, 70s. It wasn't until the 70s, the mid 70s, that we started having a conversation about what other people thought that couldn't communicate effectively on what was best for the community. Even when people had disagreements, Malcolm X and Martin Luther King had completely different philosophies of what they thought was right and wrong and how they went about approaching things. They debated, they disagreed with each other for the most part. But they also understood that you needed intelligent people from all sides in order for you to continue to elevate the culture and elevate the community. It wasn't just one line of thinking. It wasn't just one perspective. It wasn't just, oh my God, we all need to be Democrat, or if you're not pro-black, or you're not this, or you're not that. It was a strategic debate, but also an elevation of thinking and minds that ultimately led to some of the biggest gains within the culture and the community. Now, if you're not a hive mind thinker, or if you're one of the most ignorant, dumb people that we've ever seen, and we're going to give you a microphone and we're going to allow for you to be the voice of the culture. When did we start letting people that were unaccomplished determine what was best for the community? You're not a victim in America. You're just weak. You're not a victim. Stop being a bitch. You're not a victim. It's 2026. And I'm responding directly to the chat. You're not a fucking victim. Grow the fuck up and stop being a hoe. Oh man, it's a victim in America. Nigga, you a grown fucking man. You're not a victim. Who keep telling you that? Nigga, if I was your father, I would be disappointed. What? No, you lost. You lost. You lost. I'm a winner. I'm a winner. I've been winning my whole fucking life. I ain't never been nobody's victim. Ever. I never seen so many black men, grown black men, sit there and talk about how they a victim. Anton being emotional. No, it's called being passionate. It's called being passionate about things that's meaningful to you. How did we get so many grown black men talking about being victims? What type of hoe-ass activity is that? Nigga, how do you show up at home? How do you go home to your girl talking about I'm a goddamn victim? How you get niggas to believe in you? Who the fuck following you niggas? How you gonna have a son talking about I'm a victim? How you gonna have a daughter talking about I'm a victim? How you gonna be the leader of your family being a fucking victim? How did so many black men become so weak and docile? Did they cut you niggas balls off? How are y'all victims, but you having families, but you having kids? You a victim? Good God, bro. Oh my God. We just got a whole generation of weak people. This is sad. This is so sad, bro. This is the saddest thing that I ever seen in my entire life, bro. I ain't never seen so many weak men all in unison complaining about their victimhood and their circumstance. This broke my heart, bro. Broke my heart. I don't. This is wild, bro. This is so wild. Well, I mean, I guess if you're a victim, then it ain't nothing for me to call you a hoe. Cause you're a victim anyway, right? What do you care? Like, listen. If you're a victim, respectfully, then don't get mad at me for calling you a victim. Right? If you're a victim, all I'm saying is this. This is all I'm saying. Is don't get upset at me for calling you a victim. Because you called yourself a victim. Listen. Let me see what he said. Hold on, let me see if I can find. AD's scared to fight for what's right, so he's telling us to ignore and get the boot out of our ass. No, what I'm saying is I'm going to put the boot in your ass because you a bitch anyway. You a victim. So it ain't like you can do nothing about it. All you going to do is cry like a hoe on the internet. You a fucking victim. Nigga, you wait for shit to happen to you and then you just complain about it on the internet. It ain't nothing you can do about it anyway. I'm calling you what you are. You a victim. Victim people can't talk to me. They can't even be in my circle. They beg for help. They always crying like hoes. And so I'm not calling you anything other than what you are. Shout out to the victims, bro. I ain't fighting for you. You a hoe ass nigga. I don't hang with niggas like you. I don't hang with dudes that cry about the circumstances in their situations. I hang with winners that run up a bag, take care of their kids, change their circumstance, and impact their community in a positive way. I don't chill with niggas like you. I don't even like niggas like you. I don't like people like you around me. I'm not gonna call you anything other than what you called yourself. That's how we talk to the hoes. I'm gonna talk to you just like we talk to the women. You's a hoe ass nigga. And I ain't taking it back. That's exactly what it is. If you that weak, then stop asking me to fight for you. Fight for yourself. You weak. I can't be kicking it with these type of niggas, man. Yeah. What you gonna do about it, bro? Because I walk around comfortably talking to winners on a regular basis. Oh my God, you just so ugh. Everybody around you is a loser. No wonder y'all kids is losers. Losers. Now I get it. Now I see why the YNs are so prevalent inside of our community, because they daddies is bitches. That's all it is. Ain't nothing else for me to say. You right. You right. Now I see what these niggas be complaining about the hoes so much. Oh my God, they're gonna. Kamala Harris said, "Hey, black men, what do y'all want? We want to update family court laws." Of all of the things that you niggas could have asked for, y'all asked for an update to family court laws. Bitches. That's all you are is hoes. All these niggas are is hoes. Whining. Of all of the things that they can do, of all of the impact that they can make, they sitting here whining about the hoes. You right. Don Dimitri says, AD, did you see the story about the mother in North Dakota that killed two of her 3 kids? The 1-year-old barely survived. No, send it to me. Send it to me and I'll throw it on the list for tomorrow. I need that. Mr. Joe, what up, Mr. Joe? Says 35 years was not enough for that bloodthirsty demon. Shout out to my girl, Elizabeth Nicholas. I appreciate you for the 20 ball. Good morning, Mr. Daniels. My son was profoundly autistic, which is worse than severe. At 17, my son was intellectually at a 2-year-old level and nonverbal, and also developed the worst kind of epilepsy. Can't be detected before birth. Wow, that's messed up. I'm praying for you, baby girl. Shout out to you, Elizabeth. Chris Cunningham with the 2 ball says his parents are on the same level as Dwayne and Magic. And most of these niggas is the same way in the chat. Now, I wonder y'all live alternative lifestyles. They really girls on the side. Alive because of God says that's fire. What up, though? J-Dub says, Black Americans have lived long enough to become the people they claim to stand against. Talk about it. Let me give you the pound for that one. Now they pass it down to the kids to further carry the trauma of an era that none of them experienced. Shout out to you. I appreciate you, J-Dubs. Thank you for the 20 ball. Wesley Turner says the black community was masculine prior to 1965 and became increasingly more feminine afterwards until you see how we are today. That's why all of the men is gay. Wyatt B says, can we cut that victim speech? Repost it. I got you. Shout out to my dog Wyatt B. Leno with the 2 ball says weak, sensitive, over-emotional, and violent. Facts. Equalizer says facts time, bunch of cake A ninjas. I can't be around these type of dudes, bro. Shadow Dragon TV says Master P recently said, oh yeah, let me throw that on the docket too. I'm going to talk about that tomorrow. I seen that. And people were mad at Master P. Master P recently says stop harping on slavery. Can't change the past, but you can change the future. And they hating on him for it. Keep cooking. Texas. What up, Texas? James C says, good morning. That's it. That's my only comment. I'll make an account. I'll make on account of my straight white Christian male status. Therefore, I'm just evil and cannot have an opinion, obviously. Thank you for your show. Sorry for the waste of Nah, I rock with you, and I thank you for the 20 ball, big dog. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that come up to me on a regular basis and say, Anton, keep saying and telling the truth exactly how you see it because we rolling with you. You would not believe it. TS Car Wash and Detail Service says, check out Ross Complex interview, please. He also says, thoughts on the Game's new album. The Game's new album is fire. I was listening to it all weekend. Craig P says, laughing my ass off, AD gonna have them adding victim to their list of pronouns. Eric Harris says James P. Fields trying to lead us to the promised land and with conquer mentality. Sarge, shout out to Sarge, says, good morning. AD jumped on a Harley and rode up through Detroit last week, 8,800 miles. Retirement ride. Shout out to you. I can see what you're talking about. Not bad. The city is a vibe. It is. It's a vibe, ain't it? Crazy. Shout out to Mr. Harvey Money with the 2 ball. I appreciate you for supporting the platform. Jude says, AD, you're right. A great example is Tupac, who had the world in his hands, but wanted to be a thug and lost his life. Sad. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. If you're not a part of the Bag Chasers, make sure you tap into the Bag Chasers. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. People sending me I kid you not. Just between me and y'all, and I'm going to go on to the next part of the show. I have probably gotten no less than $40, $45 text messages since I've been live. Now, let me tell you what's interesting about that, right? Is because I don't get text messages relevant to the show. I get text messages of things that people need from me, things that people are asking me to do, things that people are asking me to send them money for, all of this stuff, right? Now, the thing that I'm asking myself is this. All right? How come I don't get these text messages before or after the show? My whole weekend, I didn't hear from the overwhelming majority of these people. My whole weekend, Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning, and I won't hear from them probably Monday afternoon. But then I'll get 1,000 text messages from multiple different people that don't have nothing to do with what I got going on right now. And I'm locked in for about 4.5 hours. And then everybody want to reach out to me and ask me to take care of stuff or want me to interact with them. Why? Why? I don't understand that. People that don't even watch the show. People that don't even watch the show no more. People that ain't even paying attention. Do you know that I will get phone calls and text messages from people that ask me, am I live? Yo, I'm live every morning. Every morning during a weekday, I'm live at the same time. I've been doing this for the past 6-7 years. This is season 6, right? Is it me? Because if I start talking about it out loud, which I'm never gonna say no names. But if I start, it's maybe a lot of people. But if I start talking about it out loud, then everybody gonna act like, oh my God, you're the big bad wolf. Yeah. And then I gotta talk in third person to make sure that niggas don't get offended, right? So I can't be direct. I gotta say, yeah, people and all of this stuff. And it's like, respect the platform, bro.
All right, Sean Grayson, he is the former Sangamon County deputy convicted in killing Sonia Massey. He has died in prison.
Yeah, Brittany Toulis following this for us here in studio to break down what we know. Brittany, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Sean Grayson died on Sunday. He battled stage 4 colon cancer, and Grayson was convicted of shooting and killing Sonia Massey in July 2024 while a Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy. Grayson's passing happening less than a year into his 20-year sentence. Grayson was convicted of second-degree murder after shooting and killing Sonia Massey in July 2024. Sean Grayson's attorney confirming his passing to us on Sunday. He had stage 4 colon cancer that apparently spread to his lungs and liver. The Illinois Prisoner Review Board denying his request for compassionate release, citing his terminal cancer diagnosis in May. This well-known and shocking body cam footage from another Sangamon County deputy helping charge and convict Grayson of shooting and killing 36-year-old Sonia Massey inside her kitchen in July of 2024. Massey, known to struggle with mental health issues, called 911 to report a prowler. Grayson and another Sangamon County Sheriff's deputy answering that call. Within minutes, Grayson points his gun at Massey, threatens to shoot her, then does, killing the mother in her own kitchen. In a response to Grayson's death, attorney for Sonia Massey's family, Ben Crump Antonio Romanucci, put out this statement saying Sonia Massey's death was unjustifiable and she should be alive today. Sean Grayson's death in custody from cancer does not bring Sonia back. We wish his family prayers of peace, as we do for all who grieved a loved one. Sonia's family knows that pain all too well and will grieve her loss the rest of her days. Sonia's death also leading to new legislation here in the state requiring law enforcement agencies to conduct more comprehensive reviews of officers' past employment. This after the trial showed Grayson worked at other agencies and had a history of disciplinary issues. Guys.
Let me just say this. This is one of the cases that I remember reviewing, and I thought that he was completely in the wrong. Completely in the wrong. And I hate to agree with all of these civil rights leaders because I feel like they always are, and I don't even want to use the word grifting, but they always trying to capitalize off of visibility that come with something that's black or white. But this is one of the rare cases that I actually agree that he should have been in prison. 1,000%. Now, I like to react to stuff in real time, so I didn't know how he had passed away, but they said that he had stage 4 colon cancer, and that's just life, right? I'm not going to show any kind of well wishes or feel some type of way about the fact that he passed away from colon cancer. I initially thought that it was going to be some unconfirmed, we don't know how he passed away or any of that other type of stuff. But apparently he passed away of natural causes, which, to be honest with you, I'm going to keep it 100 with you. To be honest with you, I think that might have been too good. But then I'm conflicted because on the flip side, I don't like the fact that we have to spend so much money in tax dollars to take care of and support people who we know was in the wrong. Like, I don't like to spend $70,000 a year per prisoner for somebody to spend the rest of their life in prison. I think, to be honest with you, I think he got the easy way out. Is it fair to say that I'm not mad at what the results are either way? Because it's like, on one end, he actually got the easy way out instead of having to spend the rest of his life being accountable for the thing that he did, in which this woman should have never, ever, ever been killed. She should be alive. She's the one that called the police. They never should have came in her home and pulled a gun on her. In no way, shape, or if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the woman where the guy said that he was scared that she was going to throw boiling water on her. Nah, family. Nope. They should have never came in her home. They should have never been in her crib talking to her. They should have just investigated, find out what was wrong with the situation. She the one that called the police, and she wound up losing her life as a result of it. This is one of the rare instances in most police officer conversations then I'm like, nah, I'm not really tripping over the fact that he not here anymore. So I think that he got the easy way out. I think that this is actually beneficial for both taxpayers and you know, unfortunately, she's gone and she'll never be able to come back. That's the worst part about it, is that it's never really justice. In all of these instances, it's never, ever, ever really justice, because it doesn't matter if the person, like some people will say a life for a life. And I understand why some people may say a life for a life. But then at the same time, it doesn't bring the life back that you took. It doesn't bring the life back that you took. So even if your life, let's say for example that somebody killed somebody, right? That somebody took somebody else out. And then I say, well, what is the logical sentence for somebody that took somebody else out? And then the people say, well, it's a life for a life, so you got to be able to justify it. They should be doing life in prison. It still never makes up for the fact that the person who died was not supposed to be dead, and you're a POS, and so your life is, how can we say that somebody's life is worth somebody else's life when the person's whose life that we're trading for may be less than ideal? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Let's say, for example, you got this valuable guy over here, or this person that's a halfway decent person, or they're valuable to society, or they're a law-abiding citizen, and they lose their life to somebody that's trash. That's not an equal exchange. That's not a life for a life. You understand what I'm saying? If somebody is worthless that takes the life of somebody that's valuable, that's not an equal exchange to me. So it's still not a life for a life. You still owe me. You still owe me. And see, you're never going to please everybody. That's why I'm just unapologetic in what I say. Now we got people in the chat that sit here and say, well, you know, if you walk into somebody's house and they're about to throw a pot of boiling hot water on you, man, y'all don't know what side of the fence that y'all want to be on. And you know what else I've learned about a lot of y'all is that y'all consistently on the wrong side of the fence every single time. I don't know if it's a me thing, like you're saying it because I'm the person that's having the conversation, so you're intentionally picking the opposite side of whatever it is that I say, or if it's a you thing and that you're just completely dumb and that you don't know how to make sense of every single situation and realizing that every situation is different from the last. It's not even about the water. They should have never even been in her house in the first place. She's the one that called the police. Nobody called the police on her. She didn't even do anything wrong. She wasn't a threat. They never should have been in there. And if you're telling me you're going to shoot somebody because you can see that they boiling hot water, man, get the hell out of here, bro. Get the hell out of here. That woman should be alive. And I'm objective enough to be able to look at the difference between the two and say that this woman should be alive. This is actually when he got convicted. I wanted to go back to when he got convicted.
We have breaking news, a verdict in the murder trial of former Illinois Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson.
After 2 days of deliberation, the jury has found Grayson guilty of second-degree murder. Grayson, who is white, was accused of killing 36-year-old black woman Sonia Massey, who called...
Notice how everybody says makes it a white or black issue. Now, this is NBC, and I wanted to recap exactly what happened so you guys can be reminded of who did what, when, where, and why, and how, and why it's important for us to have this conversation. Notice how everything goes back to race. I just want to remind y'all. Grayson, who was white, It wasn't a police officer. And this is the problem with society, is that even the media makes it a white versus black thing instead of a bad person versus a bad person thing. Right? They don't say, well, this guy was wrong and so we need to hold him accountable. They say this white man was wrong for shooting this black woman, and then they subconsciously plant things in your head so that you can start to hate white people that didn't have anything to do with this.
911 for help. That shooting was captured on body camera footage. We're not going to show all of it because it is graphic, but video shows Grayson shooting and killing Massey in her kitchen last year after she picked up a pot of boiling water. Her family said she struggled with mental health issues.
NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa is outside the courthouse in Peoria, Illinois, and NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos with us here in studio. Maggie, let me get right to you. Tell us more about the verdict and what happened inside that courtroom.
Yeah, Kate Sinclair, after more than 10 hours of deliberations, jurors inside that courtroom just coming to that conclusion that Sean Grayson is, as you said, guilty of second-degree murder, which carries a potential sentence of 4 to 20 years in prison. And basically what this means is that, according to our legal analyst, and I'm sure Danny can expand on this, the defense's strategy seemingly worked to give the jury the option of a lesser charge. Again, remembering that he was initially charged with first-degree murder, which in Illinois carries a maximum potential penalty of life in prison. Now, again, just that kind of basic definition here is that what this means is the jury determined that Sean Grayson intentionally killed Sonia Massey, believing potentially that his life or his safety was at risk, but that belief was actually unreasonable. And this is after watching the body camera video in full in court in front of Sonia Massey's family, asking to watch that body camera video again last night during deliberations, asking the judge for clarification on some of the jury instructions, especially tied to the concept of use of force. So this is kind of a middle ground between, I should say it's absolutely a middle ground between what prosecutors originally sought against Grayson, again, that first-degree murder charge, and then what the defense was ultimately hoping for, which was an acquittal. Now we have this conviction of second-degree murder. Again, also something of a middle ground for these protesters down the street. As the verdict was being announced, my producer ran down there, and we heard from people who are now standing in front of the courthouse, beating their drum and yelling through a bullhorn, saying that they're glad there's a conviction of some sort. They're glad, they hope there will be prison time. He hasn't been sentenced yet, but they really wanted, in the name of Sonia Massey, that first-degree murder conviction. So again, this just in the last 10 minutes or so. We're bringing you this breaking news here first on News Now Daily, guys.
Maggie, thanks so much. Danny, let's bring you in. Break down the second-degree murder verdict. What should we make of it? As Maggie outlined, the defense really pushing for the jury to consider it, but also what kind of sentence could it carry?
Maggie described it perfectly. What the jury had to do with first and second degree murder in Illinois is a little not traditional compared to the way we think of murder in other states. They had to first find all the elements of first degree murder. And by the way, if they didn't find all the elements of first degree murder, they also could not find him guilty of second degree murder. Very interesting, because we often think of second degree murder as kind of a lesser included offense, that if it's not as serious as first degree, you can just go to second degree. Not so in Illinois. You have to find all the elements of first degree murder, and then you go to second degree murder and ask the question, as Maggie pointed out, was there a belief that deadly force was necessary? And in addition, was that belief unreasonable? Second degree murder in this case is defined as an unreasonable belief that you needed to use deadly force. You actually believed your life was threatened, but it was unreasonable. And that's what I think the defense was hoping for. That signals to me that they believed they were not going to get a straight across the board acquittal.
All right, Maggie Vespa, Danny Savalos with that breaking news.
We thank you.
Yeah, it's very clear to me that he was guilty. I don't think that very many people would disagree, even people that are white and then maybe they racist. I don't think that they would disagree with the fact that this was an unjustified killing. When you got the body cameras, and I'll say this too, let me add this in there, and then we're going to jump over to Enes Kanter. Enes Kanter. When you have the body cam footage, when you have all of the things that go into it, it's very easy to be able to see it. The problem that we have as taxpayers, and a lot of y'all in the cities, a lot of these cities are actually burdened by the cost that comes along with all of the additional fees with having the police officers and body cam footage and all of this stuff, is it costs taxpayers. When you have people that don't do what they're supposed to do, especially as a part of the police force, actually everybody pays for that. Everybody pays for that. 100%. But nobody is going to feel sorry for him, unfortunately. He has a history of doing things wrong within the police department. I am not going to feel sorry for him. I think that he absolutely, positively deserved to be convicted, that woman should still be alive. It doesn't matter about what her life circumstances are. She deserved to still be alive, and her life should not have been taken as a result of calling the police to investigate some noises that she's seen outside. They should have never even, it's no reason why they should have even been in her house. They should not have even been in her house. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats. Mr. Harvey Money says, keep calling out the bitch assness, these being ass dudes displaying. I don't know what's wrong with them, bro. Thank you for the 20 ball. Amarie says 80, that victim speech was epic, one of your best. Really? I didn't think it was one of my best. Shout out to you for the 5 ball. Easy built for it says, shout out to you, AD. This is my first super chat. But I've been watching your show for a while. Thanks for the entertainment and insight. Chosen 214 says, Austin Metcalf worked hard to put himself in that position. I bet his brother won't move like that anymore. No sympathy at all for me. Well, we can agree to disagree. Wesley Turner says, victim-minded people will never obtain true power. That's some savage stuff to say. I'm going to just say that. Lucas Merrill says, lots of tough muffs in the chat. Yeah, it's always a lot of that. Thoughts on Clay to Miami? I don't feel no type of way about it. Miami is it looked like a senior citizen's home over there. Laymar on there says, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. That's a pretty good quote. Shout out to my dog Tone says, what up? What's good, time dog? Is people saying they fake this? People gonna say anything, bro. I don't listen to people. I just go based off of whatever it is that's described, and I react off of that. He's on an island with Epstein. You can't make this up. People will say anything. Lafayette Workman says, hey, Anton, I wanted to start reading the Bible and didn't know where to start. What's the entire pathway I should take to be where I need to be? At the very beginning, at Genesis. Genesis 1:1. Genesis 1:1. And then you go to Exodus, and then Leviticus, and then Numbers, and then go to Deuteronomy, and then Joshua and Ruth, and then go into 1st and 2nd Samuel, and then go into 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles, and then you go to Ezra. You just read it straight through. Straight through. And I wouldn't even put how many chapters you need to read, because some of it is going to seem like it's monotonous. Like when you get into Numbers and things like that, there's some historical references and reasons why they put it in there. But a lot of people don't quote Numbers because it's not actual real insight that you get from Numbers. It's more information-based, right? But I would just allocate an hour every day or a half hour every day. I like an hour. Somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour every day that I'm going to read, and I'm going to dedicate myself to it. And the more you get into it, the more insight that you gain from it, the more you're going to want to get into it. But I would just start at the very beginning and work my way through it. Some people say that you should start at Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but I say you start at Genesis because you need to know how you got to that point in the first place. Chosen says, Anton is not a politician, activist, or pastor. His opinions and views are not the end-all, be-all. I like his views on relationships only. Cool. Some people like my views on politics only. Some people like my views on money only. But that's the reason why it's over 2,000 people in here listening to me. And people have the choice of being able to choose whether or not they want to agree with me or they disagree with me. But that's unfortunate. Elevate to the unknown, but I respect you and thank you for the super chat. Elevate to the unknown because we are not a monolith in here. I'm broke, but I can donate a few dollars for you calling out the victim mentality. Shout out to Elevate to the Unknown. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you to everybody that support the platform. Thank you for holding me down. Dang, we already 2 hours in. I don't know how I used to do a 2-hour show. I don't know how I used to do a 2-hour show. I need more than 2 hours. I need at least 3. You know what I'm saying? Well, wait, let me back up for a minute. If you looking at this, Enes Kanter, why are they pushing him out? All right, so I will tell you as a person that sits courtside, every single time that I go to an NBA game, and I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on courtside tickets every single year as a season ticket holder, I will tell you that I have never, ever, ever, ever been thrown out of a game, and I have done way more than just wear a t-shirt. I've done way more than just wear a t-shirt. He's not even a problematic person. But see, this is how they continue to try to control the narrative of what goes on. Women's sports, so we're making exceptions now, guys, all right? Women's sports are way more emotional. Now, let me tell y'all that, of course, we are going to be experiencing the fact that they are getting the most views and the most visibility as a result. They should be thanking Mr. Kanter, Mr. Freedom. They should be thanking Royce White. They should be thanking Caitlin Clark. They should be thanking people for talking about how bad the WNBA is, right? They should be thanking them. I've gotten into it on the sideline with my fair share of NBA players that felt some type of way. I didn't get thrown out of the game with DeMarcus Cousins. He got removed from the game completely. The security was like, hey, man, just make sure that we keeping it on basketball. And I said, all right, I'm keeping it on basketball. So I went into the tunnel and I kicked it with my security guy, or with the security guy, the guy that's the head of security for Little Caesars Arena for the Pistons. And then I was right back in my seat. I've never, ever, listen, when they kick you out, 9 times out of 10, in most instances, they will ban you from the arena. All he did was do this, put his hands up, and show his shirt. And all of a sudden, the security guy immediately, if you look at the video, the security guy immediately started removing him from the arena. Why is the security guy running over to him to remove him from the arena? And all he did was this. It's people that have trans shirts on, supporting trans people inside of the WNBA. Why is he getting kicked out of the arena? These chicks, bro. Look at them. Look at them. But Enes Kanter, he went on to describe and have a conversation with Fox News on exactly where he stands. Scored it out.
Well, Ness, you have never been afraid to speak up for what you believe in. You have actually taken on dictators, powerful governments, massive corporations, and now you're taking on the WNBA. You felt the need, apparently, to get involved after you heard about some of these women who actually play in the WNBA saying they'd be willing to have men join their league. I mean, tell me about your reaction when you first heard this.
So I remember it was right around my birthday in May. I was watching the WNBA game because I'm actually a huge fan of the game. And I remember one of the players, her name is Gabby Williams, and she went after the game, I think, as she was doing an interview, and she literally said, I welcome a trans athlete on my team any day, and it would not be a problem if I ever play against a trans athlete. So I was like, okay then, if all the coaches, if all the players and all the, the league itself is cheering for it, so then I'm like, you know what, that gave me the brightest idea. I looked at the collective bargaining and I was like, there is no rule against it. Section 13 literally said, if you identify as a woman, you're allowed to play, And I was like, let's do it.
Oh, and you have actually declared for the 2027 WNBA draft. So are you actually ready to get out there on the court? Would you be physically going out there, or was the idea to kind of draw attention to this and really have them answer a question that is basic and should be very basic and asked, which is, what is a woman?
So I played basketball in NBA for 11 years. I mean, I averaged a double-double, and it was an amazing time. You know, I had so much fun with my teammates. So I love the game, and I am ready to play. I'm prepared to play. So I know I'm 34 years old, and I think I will be the best draft pick in WNBA history, literally.
We know that there have been meetings between kind of the legal authorities, some of the owners of the teams, to talk about this. What do you think should happen here?
So there's other major sports league obviously closed that loophole. You know, they added like a biological, you know, female or born female in their collective bargaining. But when I looked at them at WNBA, they didn't have any kind of, you know, reference that says biological or anything like that. So I was like, and all the coaches, I was watching this game, and I believe the coach of the Minnesota, right, came out with that trans kids belong. So I was like, if there's no rule against this, if all the coaches are okay with it, think about how much money I can bring. Think about all the endorsement deals.
Well, it's interesting because they have some star athletes who have garnered a lot of attention, who you would think they would probably lean into. Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and it feels like they've actually gone in the opposite direction. So whether or not they're willing to actually save their own sport kind of still remains to be seen. Are you surprised more of them aren't standing up for women and women's sports?
Well, I wish they did, but this is a movement. I'm not only out there fighting by myself. I had, you know, so far I had conversation with 2 former NBA players, 3 European players and 3 G League players. They have no idea. The WNBA had no idea what they are about to face. They're still trying to figure out what a woman is. So let's see if they can figure that out. So let's see what kind of rules that they're going to come up with.
You are no stranger to standing up and speaking up whenever you feel like your beliefs are challenged. You have called out human rights atrocities for many years. You've been a voice for the voiceless in Turkey, in China, in Russia, Iran, North Korea, Venezuela, the Middle East. You know, most people in your position would stay away from anything controversial, but you have actually leaned into it, which is interesting.
Well, I feel like God gave me this huge platform, and I'm trying to use this platform to be the voice of all those innocent people out there who don't have a voice. I mean, that was my goal. So this is literally God's work.
There actually has been a very high cost to you for this. I mean, you have been kind of cut off from your family, right? You have faced arrest warrants, death threats. You have probably given up millions of dollars for directly going after the NBA. Do you look back at all of these things and say it's worth it?
Well, freedom is not free, and it comes with a sacrifice. I mean, I haven't seen my family almost 14 years now. And because of, I wanted to stand up for all the, you know, human rights abuse happening in China. I mean, they kicked me out of the league when I was 29 years old, and that cost me around $45 to $50 million.
Are you prepared for what may happen based on the fact that now you have gone after the WNBA? Because I'm sure there's probably people coming for you now too.
I mean, I only fear God and God only. Everyone bleed like me. So I know this is God's work, and I'm not going to give up. And I have no regrets, you know, because whenever I sit down with all these families, I just had a basketball camp in New York. And I remember all the families were coming up to me and saying, thank you. We would like to thank you for what you're doing for our daughter. You know, we are having these basketball camps. And after the basketball camps, we are all sitting down on the basketball court, and we're talking about why freedom is so important and so fragile, why we should care about our rights in America, why we should care about democracy. And it's been amazing because now all these kids obviously asking me questions about so many things, because unfortunately, many of them is being brainwashed by many apps out there, like a TikTok or many other apps out there. But I think once we sit down and have these conversations, they appreciate America more. They appreciate this country more, just like my teammates. I remember one time I walked into locker room and all my teammates were criticizing America. They were saying, oh my God, America is so, excuse me, so trash. America is horrible. I walk in the locker room, I'm like, guys, our season is about to be over. Whenever our season over, I'm gonna buy you a first class ticket. Let's go to some of these countries out there like China, like Russia, like Iran, like Turkey, like North Korea. Forget about calling those governments a trash. You criticize those governments, you and your family members will be jailed to death.
You know what's so bad? And this is another plight that I actually see with a lot of Americans, specifically black people in America. If y'all not listening to what he's saying, he's breaking down to you what the problem is. And it's unfortunate that it had to start with somebody like Mr. Kanter, right? He's breaking down to you what the problem is inside of America and that we are basically spoiled. He said he walked into the locker room and that of an NBA locker room of guys that are making millions and tens of millions of dollars a year. He said, and inside of the locker room, all of these guys were sitting there complaining about America while at the same time taking advantage of everything that America has to offer. And he said, after the season, I will buy you guys first class flights and tickets so that you can actually understand and realize how great this country is. I said this a long time ago. I'm going to emphasize it again right now. This is the problem with America today, is that people outside of the country see the value and appreciate it. And this is the reason why a lot of them outperform us when they get here. And the people that are here, born here, they don't take advantage of the opportunities and they run in the Victim Olympics. And Enes Kanter is the one that is the most logical person that I've seen in a long time. Not only when it comes to being the person that spearheaded, because he is the foundation. He's the person that's spearheading, having a conversation about should men ultimately get into women's sports. You know what it kind of reminds me of? It reminds me of Arnold Schwarzenegger. When Arnold Schwarzenegger, when they would ask him, right, hey, listen, what do you think and you know about America? Why are you Republican? And he was like, bro, if it wasn't for America, I wouldn't be where I am today. This is the greatest country in the world, even though I wasn't born here. This is the country that has given me the opportunity, took me out of poverty. If it wasn't for America, man, I don't know where I would be today. Meanwhile, you got people that are born here that don't work hard, that don't push themselves, that's okay with the status quo and the narrative of all of these people. Instead of educating themselves, instead of growing, instead of evolving, instead of becoming better people, instead of, you know, continuing to elevate when it comes to their finances and resources, and then passing down, you know, to the next generation an opportunity that's better than what they are, they sit here and they run in the Victim Olympics and they try to tell you how much of a victim they are. Meanwhile, he's the one that's not even from here saying, hey guys, y'all don't realize how good y'all got it. I'm the one that's on the platform right now telling people, y'all don't realize how good y'all got it. There are people watching this right now. And I'm trying to get through to y'all. I'm genuinely trying to get through to the people that are watching this right now. This situation is a microcosm of a bigger problem, but the biggest problem is our mentality. We are victims because we refuse to look at how much of an opportunity that we have before us. And honestly, I think that the biggest tragedy that you can have is a person that's a waste of space. It breaks my heart how people are not involved and educated when it comes to politics, because the people that came before us died for our opportunity to do so. It breaks my heart when people have the opportunity to go to school and they don't study or they don't learn or they don't give everything that they have into being educated when it was people that came before us that's never had that opportunity. It breaks my heart how people willingly have children and choose not to take care of them. It breaks my heart that we have so much opportunity. We can work as much as we want. We can run up a bag as much as we want. We can choose not to commit crimes. We can choose to elevate ourselves. We can make ourselves more knowledgeable, more valuable. We can do all of these things, and we sit here and whine about what we don't have while people come over here with nothing. And build entire businesses, juggernauts. Build entire businesses. We spend more time arguing over things that don't matter, over the stats of somebody, of what somebody in the NBA got, than we actually will reading a book. We refuse. There are people, bro, there are people that are born in America. It's people outside of America that's never taken an English class. And they teach themselves how to speak English. They teach themselves how to speak English in anticipation of possibly getting over here one day. And we have people over here that cannot read past a second and third grade level. Can't read past a second and third grade level. Do you know how crazy that is? You know how crazy that sounds? To know that you have been born in this country and you can't read past a second and third grade level, and people would rather sit and commit crimes or complain on the internet and watch me and can't read. And can't read. But instead of changing that, they'll sit here and demonize and say you're a lame because you know how to read. You're a lame because you're a lame because you know how to read and you speak proper English. If you can speak proper English, then that means that you whitewashed. If you're educated on voting policy and people can't compete when it comes to having a conversation about which policies matter the most locally, then you must be a coon. People will watch, bro, they will sit here and cite Malcolm X, but don't even realize that the biggest transition that Malcolm X had was learning how to read and transitioning his mindset to be more educated instead of acting like a nigga. That's the biggest part of Malcolm X's journey. The biggest part of Malcolm X's journey is not what he stood for. The biggest part of Malcolm X's journey is not what he advocated for. The biggest part of Malcolm X's journey was not joining the Nation of Islam. The biggest part of Malcolm X's journey wasn't the speeches. The biggest part of Malcolm X's journey was the journey. It was the journey. It was how he transitioned and what he decided to do when he was at his lowest. It was the fact that he decided that he didn't want to be a nigga no more and he wanted to educate himself. That's when he started to become a part of the conversation. It wasn't what he did. It was how he got there. The journey is always more important than the destination. Once you get to the destination, you die. The journey is what's most important. That's the blueprint. The blueprint is the journey. You know how you become successful and people come back and they say, well, man, how did you do it? They don't come back and say, how did you do it when you broke? People want to know how you became successful. They want to know the journey. But instead of us understanding and studying the transition, the journey, how did you get there? How did you do it? What did you do? What did you put yourself in a position? We don't talk about that. We spend all of our time arguing over small things that don't change our lives. Even if you have your own thought process, you can mimic the journey. We don't study and read people's autobiographies because we necessarily care about where they are. We study their biography because we want to know what the blueprint is to do what we want to do when we want to do it. That's why we read and study and look at it. That's why we look at people like Warren Buffett, because we want to understand, how did you start to think differently about money? What is the philosophy? How did you develop where you got to? It's the journey. And it's unfortunate that Mr. Kanter is the one up here actually having the conversation about what makes the most sense to Americans only because he was able to appreciate it. You're not hearing me. You're not hearing me. You're not hearing me. Wake up, people. White, black, Asian, Indian, whoever it is that's listening to this. Wake the fuck up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Stop being in a goddamn slumber. You're wasting your time every single day. You're wasting time because you're not taking advantage of the opportunity. You're a travesty. You're a loser. You're a waste of time. The reason why you're a waste of time is because you don't capitalize off of the opportunity that you have right now. It's people that would die to be where you are right now, and you're wasting it. Sometimes I think I'm going to talk about what they talking about, but at other times, I then have the opportunity to really grasp something else out of it. I'm like, man, that's crazy. Wake up. You can't read or you can't read well. Wake up, bro. Some of y'all don't want to read the Bible because you can't read. You always want somebody to come through and give you the information. Man, they gatekeeping. Nigga, how you think we got it? You know what we did? We read. You always want a shortcut. Man, they gatekeeping. Nigga, ain't nothing to keep. All of the information is out there. Ain't no gatekeeping no more. And ain't no gates. Ain't no gates. It's all wide open. It's an arms race. It's wide open for the taking. America is available for the taking. Money is available for the taking. Opportunity is available for the taking. You just not here. You not listening. You not really getting it because you not focused. You not focused. We got the greatest opportunity of all time. I'm not even paying attention to the WNBA aspect of this conversation. I'm listening to what he's saying as far as truly capitalizing off of the opportunity. That's some real stuff. It's right there. It's at your fingertips. You got a $2,000 iPhone and all you do is watch dick and pussy all day and porn and jack off. Nigga, you ain't got nothing better to do with this. This is a goddamn machine. You know how much information you can draw off of this, and all you do is listen to music and jerk off and talk about hoes on the internet and get mad at people? 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 60, 70, 80 years, and you ain't got nothing to show for it. And you a loser. You're a loser. You've been on this earth for 30 or 40 years. You telling me. We're going to have a revival today. You telling me you 40 and broke? Nigga, how you 40? You've been on the earth for 40 years. 40 years. And you don't have nothing? And you keep on trying to tell somebody to give you the game. Hey, give me the game, man. 40 fucking years. You know how 3 decades? You know how long that is? 30 years, 40 years, 25, 30 years, and you haven't been able to figure it out, and you're still here, not doing nothing, talking on the internet, on TikTok, talking about what your lack of opportunity is? Man, 40 years? That's crazy, bro. Somebody had asked me, I think it was last week, and they said, Anton, how long would it take for you to get rich again if you didn't have nothing? I said, nigga, 3-4 years tops. I already got the information now. All I got to do is implement what I already know, what I'm already doing. I'm here. I already got it. I already got the information. There's no way that I can't get rich again and again quicker than I did the last time. You know why? Because I already got it. It's right here. Man, that time I'm going to get it. I'm going to figure it out one day. That's a running joke that I have with people when I meet them on a regular basis. They What up, Tom? What's going on, man? I'm just trying to figure it out. That's what I say all the time. And I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to figure it out. It's no reason. Bro, 30, 40 years, nigga, you should be the richest person in your building. How are you not the richest person in your building? 30, 40 years? I told somebody yesterday, this is honest to God truth. I told somebody yesterday, I said, bro, I gotta be the top dude in the city. It ain't no reason why I shouldn't be. There's no reason why I shouldn't be. I gotta be the top dog in the city. Man, we ain't never seen no car like that here. I know. It's my birthright. I'm supposed to be rich. I'm supposed to be driving crazy cars. I'm supposed to be sitting courtside. Honestly, I'm at the point in my life. Yeah, we talking that talk today. Yeah, I got time. Honestly, I'm at the point in my life to where I've had an epiphany to realize that I am royalty. And so I'm supposed to be sitting at courtside. I don't look at that as a privilege anymore. I look at that as an expectation. I've been here for 40 years. You telling me I can't figure out how to get courtside? Telling me I can't figure out how to be in a suite? You telling me I'm not supposed to be able to drive an exotic car? Nigga, that's small. I'm supposed to go out and give $10,000, tens of thousands of dollars out every month. I'm supposed to be a contributor to my community. I've been studying for 40 years. Jesus was on the earth for 30-something years, and he went and changed the whole world. He said, greater things will you do. Okay. Well, then I got a greater expectation of my life. My father was like, yo, you're going to do some great things. Okay, well, it's time to show up. Then that means that I got to bear fruit. You will know them by their fruit, right? You mean all I got to do is grind, hustle, apply myself, and as I get more knowledgeable, apply that too, and then I can be great too? Are you still worried about the white man? How does the white man have dominion over you if you love God? Bro, do you know it was rich black people during the slavery? Man, let me stop, bro, because we gonna get into it. Let me see if there's anything else to man out of this.
So people have no idea how blessed we are in this country.
Well, Nas, this has been fun, but we have a basketball court here, so I think maybe we should test out the theory that you're ready for the WNBA draft.
So I can show the whole world.
Let's go see what you got.
Yes.
All right, but in real life, Enes.
Okay. I don't want to do all of that. I ain't got time for that. I don't need all of the don't. Yeah. Shout out to Mr. Kanter, Mr. Freedom, however you want to frame it. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. This is what it's like when you got hot chocolate, tea, and you had a good night's rest. Don Dimitri says they kicked that strong woman out for wearing a shirt. And he is a strong woman, and we need to have him in the WNBA. They have been on the lookout. They have to be on the lookout. Photos of Enes and Royce. Yeah, they was looking to kick him out immediately. AR's back says they can cancel these hoes for all I care. They won't appreciate a good thing till it's gone. Anyway, shout out to my dog AR's back with the 20 ball. I appreciate it. Thank you, my friend. Mr. Joe, what up, Mr. Joe? Mr. Joe says, check out Nightcap's reaction to Enes. It showed how illogical and docile men have become. Nightcap was talking junk about Enes, Mr. Enes? All right, we might have to pivot. Give me a second. Oh, looks like I'm gonna be pivoting, and this is why I love the chat, because the chat gonna keep me informed on what's happening in these streets. Shout out to the chat, man. Shout out to y'all for keeping me informed. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let me get it up. Let me get it up. So now I got to see it for myself. As I think that y'all capping. Let's see what I can find. Who was talking junk? Shannon Sharpe or Ocho or Joe? Which one? I've been giving Shannon a lot of props lately, to be honest with you. Like, I've been defending Shannon a lot lately. But I got to call a spade if I see that it's a spade. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's figure out what we got going on here, guys. Shout out to the chat for keeping me informed. Let me read some more super chats and then we're going to get to it, all right? Shout out to Mr. Joe. Nola Grizz says, first of all, let me give you a shout out for the 20 ball. Big ups to AD. Men, stop talking, start handling business. But maybe 2 years ago, I suggested Royce White as a guest for the Millionaire Morning Show, but you said you hadn't heard of him. I hadn't heard of him at the time. His show is incredible. Definitely would love to hear a combo with the two of you. Viral. I'll reach out to him, see what he's talking about. Laymar on air says this girl I dated came from Burundi and taught herself how to read and speak English in 3 months. I have no respect for lazy YNs. Talk about it. Shout out to my dog, Will Stewart. Shout out to Will. Appreciate the message. Wake up. Shout out to my dog, Will Stewart. The Decode Niniola says, AD reached out a few times regarding coaching call. Can we get something set up if you have capacity? Yep. I just cleared my calendar to add more coaching calls. Rita kind of announced it the other day. So, all right, let's see what we got with the Shannon Sharpe situation. You know, a lot of times you also have to adjust the audio because you don't know if the audio is ideal for this for what we're trying to do, because we got to get it right. All right. Let's get past the commercials.
What are we gonna eat at? Enes Kanter was ejected from tonight's Indiana-Chicago WNBA game after Natasha Cloud-Yale and pointed in his direction late in the third quarter. Chicago coach Tyler Marr said after the game, if you come to a game, you should probably come to enjoy the basketball, and seems pretty simple to me. I think these players deserve that, and they have earned that. Joe, what you thinking? You think he went there with that purpose to agitate?
Oh, what other reason would he be going to the games? Hell, he probably ain't never been to no WNBA game. Didn't he go there just to be the agitator, just to cause ruckus, just to make the headlines? Come on, bro. Hey, what we doing? Okay, Ojo?
I got a question. Enes Kanter, what was he doing? What was he saying? What does he do? I know he was a former basketball.
Remember, he talking about he's eligible for the WNBA draft. So he gonna go to the he gonna go play in the WNBA.
That's who started that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What we doing, man? Huh?
They so scary. Say it.
The man said he gonna go try out for the WNBA,
Say it,
bro.
Don't be scared.
He raging, baby. Then he gonna run the Fox. Then he gonna run the Fox News and talk about, see, this is what I'm talking about. They're not inclusive. They don't want to. They want to have their cake and eat it too, and yada 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 yada. If you were good, you still be in the NBA.
Yeah. So he wasn't good when he played?
No, that's why he's not playing. His own home country don't want him back.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh? Hold on. For a minute though, he was solid, Uncle
Thank
Ocho.
you.
Yeah. He wasn't no damn superstar, nothing like that, Ocho. But
he was a good role player.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
averaged a double-double.
But to be pulling this stunt that he pulling, I don't understand why. Like, is it because of the transgender rights?
Yes.
And he thinking that, I'm gonna really test him and see what the hell they gonna do.
Hey,
Right.
he must be a political activist in a sense.
But I think the thing was, Joe, is that he was a solid role player, but then he started having these beliefs and these talking points that the league's like, bro, you're not that good.
See, this is why. All right. I respect everybody's opinion on these platforms, but what I don't respect is A, if you have an opinion on something that you're not informed of, and B, and I'm glad that Joe Johnson, at the very least, even though I disagree with what Joe Johnson is saying right here, at least Joe Johnson was honest enough to say, well, wait a minute, he wasn't no slouch. Mr. Kanter was removed out of the NBA when he was 29 years old, right? He was in a prime, but he actually stood for something. This is why, again, I don't have as much respect for a lot of these people as y'all may have respect for them just because they were good on the football field, just because they were good on the basketball field. When you start talking about things that are political, when you start talking about character, when you start talking about culture, they out of the loop. They out of the loop. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know the difference between right and wrong. This is why I tell y'all, don't worship athletes. Don't worship rappers. Don't worship entertainers, because the very ones that you worship a lot of times don't align with your values politically, morally, or even your characteristics of what you think is right or wrong when it comes to your belief system. Real talk. And we able to separate the two. We able to say, okay, well, wait, you're a great content creator. You're a great football player or basketball player, but it doesn't mean that you know what the hell you talking about when it comes to what's best. Like, and it's funny. It's so funny, bro, because at the same time, these are the very people that say and stuck up for Kyrie. Justifiably. Stuck up for Kyrie. A lot of people that's out here in the chat, and you know people are sheep, so they just going to follow him and they just going to support him and they just going to agree with him just because they like the platform or whatever. And this is why I don't like operating in an echo chamber. And I like people that have differences of opinion, and I don't censor them because I want to hear different people's opinions, even if they don't agree with me. And we can go back and forth and have a conversation on that. But in the same way that we said that Kyrie stuck up for himself and his beliefs, and they tried to hold Stephen A. Smith accountable for disagreeing, the same people that would stand for my man in the NFL, Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick was on the downslope of his career, and he decided that he wanted to take a knee, and everybody was rocking with it. But the most logical one, Enes Kanter, said that, wait a minute, I want to bring visibility to this. I love America. I stand for it. I actually push American values, conservative American values. I stand for that. And also, if we want to really deep dive and get to the core root of the problem, I'm actually standing for biological women. That's the real issue here, is that they're saying that he's a distraction. I'm saying, and a lot of us are saying, that he's a positive force that actually reinforces why women, biologically born women, should only be competing against biologically born women, not just in the WNBA, but in all sports. And so it takes for people like this to actually go through and be the one that takes all of the arrows to change the course of how we continue to have conversations about what makes sense and what doesn't make sense inside of our culture. And you know what's so crazy about it? It takes a person that's not even from here to stand for American values versus people that actually are here that don't even stand for women. Listen, man, listen. I did say that, didn't I? I said that the older black men are the most backward-minded, and it's true. Listen. What I'm trying to tell y'all is that when people show you who they are, believe them. These guys are very entertaining. I like their platform. I'm not going to remove that from them or try to take that away from them. But they liberal. This is the reason why a lot of us, including black people, are on the Democrat plantation, because they have a liberal mindset and they don't stand for shit. None of these guys stand for nothing. They don't even understand the core root of the problem of what Mr. Kanter is trying to solve for. They don't even understand what he's standing for. Mr. Kanter is not trying to be a distraction. He's trying to be a solutions-based person that actually shows you the hypocrisy that comes along with continuing to embrace these liberal policies and his liberal mindsets. If y'all love the WNBA, if y'all love women being able to have the autonomy to compete, then why wouldn't you be supportive of this? Why would people be against the idea that biologically born women should be able to compete against biologically born women? At least he stood for something. At least he was real. Listen, I'll put him up against a lot of people because he was willing to put his career on the line at the time that he was in his prime. And he went and he gave up millions of dollars to stand on what he believed. You cannot in any way, shape, or form try to take anything away from him. You can't take anything away from him. He stood for something when the rest of them was sitting there passively trying to play along. Look, you don't have to take up the same cause as him. All right, I'm not saying that. But you can't criticize somebody that's standing up for biologically born women. You don't have to take the arrows that he take. But you at least got to inform yourself on what he's standing for before you criticize him for it. You got to inform yourself. This is crazy. This is insane to me. I don't know what I'm looking at.
Hey, you ain't Kyrie. What you think?
Nah. You, in order to be talking like you talking, you need to be a star.
So the only way that you can have an opinion, the only way that you can stand for something in this country, the only way that you can make an impact is that if you're a star. That's the only people that we support. The only way that you can make an impact, the only way that you can really, really transform the conversation is you have to be a star. Then we'll give you a pass. Then we'll give you an opportunity to say what you mean, to consider what you're saying if it's right or wrong. But we not listening to you unless you're a star. Do y'all see how crazy this style? Do y'all see how crazy this sounds? Why people don't take us serious? He's wrong. He's wrong. He's wrong as, listen, I'm going to call it straight down the middle. I give props where props is due to Shannon when he's right. When he's right, he's right. And when he's wrong, he's wrong. And objectively, he's dead wrong. He's never been more wrong on a subject than he's saying than right now. He's dead wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if you're a superstar, we're going to look the other way. But you're not even that.
You're absolutely right. And I think all this kind of transpired right when COVID hit, when they were making guys take them COVID shots. If you couldn't take them damn COVID shots, an uproar ever since then. And it's kind of seemed like, for whatever reason, he's come back around, and I just don't get it, bro. I don't understand what's the logic behind this.
Because he's standing for something greater than himself. And he's showing how hypocritical our culture, the world, America, and the WNBA is by embracing and supporting trans people participating in women's sports because it's bigger than you. You know how we all got upset and we got pissed off that y'all wanted to, during the pandemic, protest and put stuff on the back of your jerseys, then you wanted to stand for something in particular? Remember that? But, oh, no, we only supposed to look the other way because LeBron and them was embracing it. I got it.
We had those same rules at Fox. We couldn't go in the building. If you didn't get a COVID shot, you couldn't come in the building.
Yeah.
Okay, if you didn't get tested, we got tested 3 times a week. If you refuse to test, you can't come in the building.
Damn.
It was really that simple. Either you want to work or you don't.
Damn.
I remember you couldn't go to school. You had to get certain vaccinations.
Yeah.
Measles, mumps, diphtheria. You had to get those shots before you go to school. It wasn't no, well, I don't want to get them. Well, you ain't going.
Yeah. That's how it was. Yeah.
Okay, fine. You know, man, people just want their 15 minutes of fame and just gonna just carry on and carry on.
Megan
carry
loves
on.
to treat
Like,
herself.
bro, I don't get it.
But
I don't
sometimes she
get it.
needs
And then you
extra
show, you wear the T-shirt knowing that you're gonna enrage people. I don't get his angle. But hey, like I said, as his last name says, freedom. He believes in freedom and all this other stuff.
Come on, man.
Come on, what? What? They don't even know. They don't even know what to say. They just talking.
I guess we just agree to disagree, and that's okay.
He tripping?
If I went viral for growing my beard out, WNBA Hall of Famer is going viral for shaving his off. Check out his new look, guys.
Hey, notice how they didn't spend no real time, actually having a real conversation about the real issues and the source behind why he's doing what he's doing. Notice how nobody, not Joe, not Ocho, and not Shannon, none of them addressed the issue of men playing in women's sports. None of them. Not one of them mentioned, not one time, the issue by which he's standing on and whether it's right or wrong. Nobody. Hey guys, let's move on after 3 minutes. This is the most silent and the most weak I've ever seen them discuss a subject ever. And this don't take away from Nightcap. This don't take away from their platform. It doesn't mean that they're not great at what they do. It doesn't mean objectively that they're not great analysts when it comes to football and basketball and different subjects when it comes to sports. But at the same time, come on, man. Let's keep it 100. They're wrong. And you know what the worst part about it is? They're wrong while at the same time a bunch of people watching them be wrong. And this is the reason why they're able to reinforce certain narratives, why they're able to reinforce certain mindsets, why they're able to reinforce certain perspectives into our culture, because we follow people that don't even know the real issues behind why he's doing what he's doing. And you know what they did? They did the same thing that I try to teach people on after hours not to do. When I play a subject or when I play a conversation, what do? I immediately stop the people first after they get their thoughts off and I say, okay, so listen, guys. What's the real issue? Are we criticizing a person and their looks? Are we criticizing or are we having a conversation about what they said? Because it's easy. The first thing that they did is they went into ad hominem and said, he wasn't even that good. Joe couldn't even go with that one. He was like, well, I'm not going to say that. Well, it wasn't that he wasn't that good. He was actually a pretty decent person. The first thing that they did was they went into ad hominem attacks to try to disparage who he is and his character. Am I lying? Am I off? Am I wrong? They tried to discount his NBA career. It's a weak argument. Well, if you're a superstar, we'll look the other way. Why? This is a social issue. This isn't about basketball. If anything, if we just want to keep it 100, I would say Mr. Kanter has he has more authority over what happens in basketball as far as insight, information, and whether or not his opinion is valid over Shannon and Ocho. Over Shannon and Ocho. He has more credence to say and do and take a stand against what happens in the game than both them put together. Respectfully. Respectfully. And he could have kept playing if he didn't draw the ire and was censored by the NBA based off of what he believes. They're wrong. They're wrong. They're wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong as ever. And sometimes you might even need to opt out of certain conversations. Somebody inside of the chat said, they're trying to keep their sponsors. You know what you do when if that be the case, I'm not saying that that's true. But if that be the case, do you know what you're supposed to do? Not talk about something that you don't know nothing about. Or not talk or address something that you're not necessarily familiar with. You're supposed to remove yourself from the conversation and just choose not to talk about it. There's plenty of people that opt out even on after hours. You know what they do? They opt out. Some people just be like, you know what? I don't know enough about this. Let me learn from other people. And I encourage people that didn't participate, but you got to get this work. You got to get this work. And again, if you're having conversations, I don't advise anybody to mess up a bag, but I don't like when people pander. It's one thing to choose not to tackle a particular subject because you don't want to mess up a bag, if that's true. And there's a whole nother conversation that comes along with saying things that are politically correct but incorrect when it comes to our social norms and what we should stand for, unless you really believe the opposite. But pandering just for the sake of keeping your corporate sponsors and still addressing an issue that you don't know nothing about, I think that that's actually more hurtful than helpful. And I think that Miss Kanter is so strong. Yeah. Make sure you guys are like, thank y'all for bringing that to my, that's why the chat, let me give a round of applause for the chat. The chat is my co-host. The chat is my co-host for this show. Let me read some of the super chats and then we're going to get into Canadian tariffs. Real Life PJ says, I'm so glad we live in a country where we have a community of people that are getting rich and already rich, and we take advantage of every opportunity available to us. Shout out to the back. Shout out to the Chasers. If y'all not a part of the Patreon, if y'all not a part of the Chasers, the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. And we going to run it up, bro, and we focusing all of our energy on that going forward. That's our number one objective is the Chasers. Nick T. Life says, what type of dirty Mac and ish is Nightcap on? I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't even know why you pander to women that are gay. Why would anybody? Because it's listen. Of all of the things that I could pander for, the last thing that I would pander to is people that are homosexual. Women in particular, because you can't even get nothing out of them. It's not even like they can give you no box. They're not even interested in giving you. They have unusable. You know what the worst type of box is? The worst type of box is box that is unusable, in my opinion. Because a lot of times guys pander for the possibility of getting box. There is no more worthless box than box that is worthless. Than box that is unusable. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you pander for the possibility of keeping the options open for getting boxolitis. But when it's not even box possible, when you box impossible, it's like, what are you pandering for? Neither here nor there. I don't know what that type of dirty macking is. What up to my girl, Nichelle? Shout out to Nichelle. Nichelle says, women in the league are fighting for biological men to come into their league and make more money than them. Dumb as hell if this ain't the end. Chris Cunningham in the building says Ocho wasn't no better than Enes Kanter skills-wise. Mr. Bucket says, if Shannon is puzzled on Enes' angle, invite him on. I don't mind. I doubt it if he comes, though. What the F am I watching? Pandering, Sifo? Pandering. Wyatt, what up, Wyatt with the fireball says, do you think you can get an interview with one of those three guys or the guy that's joining the WNBA? Yeah, absolutely I can. You know, I honestly, I be so focused on doing what I want to do, I just don't be reaching out. I don't even be reaching out. I don't even be checking for what nobody else is doing. As crazy as that sound. What up, Mrs. Bailey? Says Shannon said, what does he sing? Oh my gosh. I haven't seen a take from them and Shannon. I haven't seen a take that bad in a long time. I haven't, honestly. I genuinely haven't seen a take that bad in a long time. We got to get into the political news, y'all. We got to deep dive a little bit more, and we got to make sense of what's going on. Again, make sure, completely landlord from Alabama, completely unboxable. What's the point? Like, pandering is supposed to net you some kind of benefit.
Many Iranians are struggling to afford groceries as the Trump administration continues to go after that country's economy. This is the next step. Jonathan Hunt knows it well, live in Tel Aviv to bring us the latest from today. Jonathan.
Good morning to you, Bill. We are in the early stages, of course, of what President Trump has termed economic warfare against Iran. The next, more draconian stage due to be detailed by Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Monday. But any sanctions program isn't going to be easy to enforce. When you look at the number of land borders, for instance, Iran shares 7 different countries having land borders with the Islamic Republic. And to the north there, look at the Caspian Sea. That gives Iran direct access to Russia. There's also direct access to China via a land route through Afghanistan. Neither of those countries, according to General Jack Keane, are going to be very willing to take part in any sanctions program. Listen here.
Certainly, Russia and China have a vested interest in the United States not succeeding in the war against Iran. They want to keep their foothold in the Middle East, and that's Iran. And that is why they're helping him.
Now, there is widespread acknowledgement, though, that the economic pressure is beginning to bite. Prices are going up, availability of goods is going down, and even some within the Iranian leadership are now talking about a change in approach. President Pezeshkian saying today, for instance, quote, "It is better to end the war today when we are in power and dignity and the whole world acknowledges our victory and emphasizes that America, contrary to all regulations, attacked our schools, hospitals, and infrastructure and is hated in the world." To my recollection, Bill, that is the first time we have heard a senior Iranian official use the words "end the war today." But as I say, he is on the more moderate wing, for the moment at least. The more hardline wing within the IRGC seems to have the upper hand. We'll see if that changes with this renewed economic pressure, Bill.
As far as I understand, there are no talks going on right now, and it feels like we've just settled into I don't want to say détente, but things have kind of stalled in terms of diplomacy.
Right. That's a really good way to put it, Scarlett. Though there are a few developments that we're watching this morning and as we head into the weekend. New today, we did hear from Iran's president seeming to urge a diplomatic solution ahead of what is expected to be ramped up economic pressure by the Trump administration against Iran. Iran's president, who has been relatively a more moderate figure within the government, urging for some sort of negotiated end to the conflict, saying earlier today, quote, "It would be better to end the war today when we have power and dignity." This was taken as a sign that there may be some sort of renewed bid to get back to the negotiating table, but by and large, we haven't seen really much public indication that that's going to happen, including when you take into account that we know that there are various factions within the Iranian government, including the hardliners, the IRGC members, that haven't really been pushing for that route. Instead, that's led the U.S. to now say that they are going to ramp up these economic measures. We're waiting in high anticipation for the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on Monday, who says he's going to more fully unveil what those plans are going to look like, though we know that there are some options on the table, which Scarlett is raising questions about what the U.S. may do when it comes to Chinese imports of Iranian crude.
Tyler, let's continue there, because obviously President Trump is going to be speaking with the Chinese leader in about a month's time or so. And China imports a lot of oil from Iran, as well as some other goods and services. So how do you think that those negotiations are going to shape up?
I mean, this is going to definitely set the backdrop there. We'll have to see whether or not this is some sort of leverage tool that we've often seen the White House invoke ahead of these high-stakes meetings. But the Treasury Secretary made pretty clear that the U.S. is going to unveil something tangible. So if it is related to targeted actions against those that help facilitate Iran's oil trade, that would squarely put the attention on China, as you mentioned, the top buyer of Iranian crude, to the tune of 90% of Iran's petroleum exports ultimately go to Beijing. But then we have this backdrop of this visit. Xi Jinping's going to be here in Washington in about a month's time. But I did want to point out that previously, when we've seen the U.S. lobby sanctions, we've had China issue what's known as a blocking order, essentially instructing Chinese firms to ignore the U.S. sanctions. So that's also going to raise some questions here about what compliance is going to look like. But for both of you, we should also keep in mind not just China that could be targeted by these economic pressure. This campaign, we know that Turkey was the second top importer of Iranian goods last year, India, and then also the UAE, which has already moved to cut ties.
So
to the Middle East, the Trump administration is expected to roll out what Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent calls the toughest sanctions in the history against Iran.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Inks joins us live from Tel Aviv with the details. Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. The United States is set to unleash new economic sanctions against Iran to put new pressure on the regime in Tehran. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent wrote on Sunday, President Donald Trump and the overwhelming might of our military have significantly dismantled Iran's military capabilities and weakened its nuclear program. Now we are entering the end game. At dawn begins an economic D-Day, the single greatest financial offensive ever marshaled against any adversary. The economic pressure comes as the Iranian rial crossed $2 million to $1 US, a historic low for the country's currency. The head of Iran's Supreme National Security Council responded on X, saying if the economic war continues, not a single drop of oil will be exported, neither through the Strait of Hormuz nor from anywhere in the Persian Gulf. Iran will regard any country's participation in or support for America's economic war against the Iranian people as an act of war.
There's no bigger, zero, zilch, nada. There's no bigger impact on a country. I know a lot of times people are focused on the missiles, and they're focused on drones, and they're focused on nuclear weapons, and they're focused on all of these different things. But let me be very, very clear. When we go to war, when we participate in proxy wars, when proxy wars are levied against us, it is to weaken our currency, it's to weaken our economic position that we have with the world. It is for no other reason other than that, because the biggest way that you stop somebody, that you impact somebody, is through their pocketbooks. There is no oil being exported into and out of the Strait of Hormuz, specifically from Iran. We have basically taken over the strait. And not only did we take over the strait, The reason why they're now calling for Iranian president, because remember, there was Big Bad Wolf that was talking big stuff and all of that stuff. The reason why they are now saying that we want to stop the war is because they have basically been crippled economically. And the value of their currency has dropped to historic lows to where it is so bad, it has basically been rendered useless. They have become Venezuela, except they can't get anything exported whatsoever. Venezuela, meaning that the value of Venezuela's currency before Trump then went in and got Maduro out was basically rendered useless because of the economic sanctions that had been placed on Iran. Now they want to come to the front of the congregation and say, hey, listen, guys, let's go ahead and end the war. Let's go ahead and figure it out. Let's go ahead and make sense of this whole thing. And let me tell you something else. This isn't coming as a result of pressure on Iran alone. This comes as pressure mounts on the places that they exported oil to. That's why I say that these are proxy wars. Listen, our real adversary has never been and never will be Iran. At any point, Trump could have crippled Iran at any point, right? This is not a war with Iran. This is a proxy war with China. When you see how we support Ukraine, right? Even though Trump's objective and his number one goal, right, that he wanted a clear victory with Ukraine and stopping the Russia-Ukraine war. And in the eyes of the American people, because y'all got to look at two things, right? Multiple different things can be true at the same time. The first thing that can be true is Trump wants victory. What does he want victory for? Because he wants honor and he wants to be regarded as one of the greatest presidents of all time. He wants to be on the Mount Rushmore. Then in order for him to do that, he has to literally win the hearts of the American people. The reason why we are or we aren't when it comes to the things that we do on a regular basis is our ability to sell that it made sense for us to do it. The biggest way that you kill your enemy, and I'm not even talking about Iran, I'm talking about in real life. The way that you kill your enemy is you have to first kill their reputation. You have to kill the view of how people see them in order for you to kill them as a person. You have to first kill their reputation. Otherwise, you make them a martyr. You make them a person that people celebrate, and the message that they stood for actually resonates, and it creates a whole lot of thems because it's a whole lot of people that didn't want to be like them. So in order for people, right, like we have the ability to do a lot of things in this country. Our politicians have the ability to do a lot of things in this country. The reason why they don't is because they still want the approval and the affection of the American people. They still got to get reelected, right? They have to sell war. We sell war. Y'all think that the only reason we was able to go over there to Iraq, the only reason why we was able to go and run up a bag when it came to all of the people that benefited off of the military when Bush was in office, was they had to... You think we going over there unless them planes go into that building? We put Saddam Hussein up in power. And then we had to figure out how to take him out of power so we can go and get the bag. The only way that the American people, first of all, you got to be a sheep. First of all, you got to believe anything that the general public of your party sells you. And independent thinkers, even though you are a person of the party, is probably one of the worst things that could ever happen because they can't control you. They can't tell you how to think. And so I look at people that are a part of the Democrat plantation as suckers, as sheep, because they are not able to objectively do the research or think or try to mine out and take the information that's being given to them and try to make sense of it with logic, reasoning, and then comparing it against other things, right? So now it's very difficult. And if they're able to buy you, which is why I've never taken a dollar from anybody, If they're able to buy you, then they can control the narrative of what you can and can't speak on. But if they can't buy you, then that makes you a wild card, which it doesn't make you any less effective or true, but it renders you, it makes you a difficult person to participate in the party, right? So I'm able to say, listen, I'm conservative, I'm Republican, but Bush in my lifetime is the worst president that I've ever had in my entire life. Even worse than Biden. Right there neck and neck, but worse than Biden. But I'll also tell you one of the reasons why, amongst many, was not just because he destroyed the economy. He destroyed the economy as a result. And Clinton, leading up to it, they destroyed the economy as a result of being able to sell war. It's the way that he was able to get reelected. It's the way that all of their friends are able to get rich, right? But everybody will go in and they'll say, well, man, listen, 9/11 is the reason that we went to war. 9/11 is the reason we were able to sell war to the American people with no pushback, with zero pushback. Now, by the time you start to figure it out, we already there. You can't pull it back. All of the troops that died, all of this that died, all of this that happened. By the time we start to put the pieces together, it's like, well, wait a minute. That don't make sense. And how fast does this building burn down? And does jet fuel really at the top of the building renders a building completely useless? And why did that building then collapse? And why did this building then collapse? And how did it collapse? And so when you start to ask questions, then you become a problem. Then you become a problem. Then you become a nuisance. Then you become an ant. Then you become this tick. And as you continue to inform more people, because when you inform more people, what are you doing? You're unselling the legacy that comes along with why people did what they did, right? And so the easy narrative to most people is just to say, this is why we're doing it. I'll take you one further. There's a lot of people, and I hear it all the time. I even hear it from people that I'm associated with. They'll say, but Israel, and I see it in the chat, but Anton, talk about Israel. Israel is one of the selling points, in my opinion, on why we justify whether we should or we shouldn't. Israel is a small distraction and a bigger cog and a bigger objective on why we continue to fight the proxy wars that we're fighting. Israel, in my opinion, is a small, not even small, it's a medium-sized talking point that keep people distracted from the real reasons why we doing what we doing. Israel is low-hanging fruit compared to the bigger picture. You don't think that you think that you think that the United States of America is dumb enough to just leave that on the floor without covering all of its bases, without thinking it through on how people are going to react to why we should and shouldn't do what we do. We got some of the smartest minds, some of the wisest advisors. Scott Bessent himself is a fucking genius. And we're sitting here thinking that the real reason is that Israel controls the U.S. and that's the reason why we chose to go and do what we gonna do. You also think that Trump makes all of his decisions on his own, on his lonesome by himself without no advisors? What about the fact that Biden, right? Biden and Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party actually designated Netanyahu as a bad person and as a person that they didn't align with, but they still chose to roll with Israel, but they never unseated him in power. Why? Why? The Democrats and the Republicans are more alike than different, more than you know. Way more than you know. What you think that we just so happen to align 100% with Israel once we decided to go to war with Iran when Trump got into office? Kamala Harris was saying the same talking points as Trump, but when they were on the campaign trail, that's one of the reasons why they tried to censor her in the interview. She said the same thing. Literally, they were aligned in the same way. She said that Iran was the biggest threat to our democracy in the United States of America. Not China, not Russia, not any of these other superpowers emerging, not BRICS. Why is it that no politician ever talks about American currency? Come on, man. Come on. We going to the next level. No more playing games. No more general information. No more YouTube talking points. No more none of this stuff. Why is it that no politician, come on, talks about American currency, talks about the value of the dollar? You've never, ever seen any candidate talk about BRICS. You've never seen any candidate talk about BRICS. They'll talk around it. They'll deal with it indirectly. But that's not a good selling point. That's not a good. Y'all ask yourself, man, how come Congress don't do nothing about it? Because Congress controls the purse strings of the U.S. Because they're not really against it. They're not really against it. But they have to sell you, because in order for them to continue to do the things that they're going to do, they have to keep being in power. And so what do? They say one thing to you, and then behind closed doors and to themselves, they go and do something completely different. You know why? Because everything is by proxy. It's not overt. It's covert. It's not in front of your face. I asked the people on Room 9 one time on After Hours, and I said, well, listen, wait a minute. If all of this information is so readily available, then, if we really trying to figure this out, why do you think that you got all of the great information? Why do they just make it readily available for you? That's exactly why the debt is. Oh, man, we gonna have to dig into this tomorrow because we don't have enough time to talk about the 40 trillion. I have to take my time and cook that. I'm actually doing two separate things. I'm going to talk about that on the Patreon, and then I'm also talking about it. I'm gonna do a deep dive because I got to take my time with that to help y'all to understand what $40 trillion in the national debt really means and how we really got there. How in less than 25 years we've been able to run up $40 trillion in the national debt. The ability for a politician or politicians or for the party to sell you on why we should continue. Have you noticed how sheep we are, right? When we talk about stuff, when we have conversations, when we get into conversations that most people actually just use the talking points that was given to them subconsciously by the party that they represent. Notice how no Democrats was talking about an oligarchy. All of a sudden, socialism is exploding, right? Notice that. Have y'all noticed that? Did y'all know that the Democrats used to be the party of war? Now it's no new wars all of a sudden that the Republicans is in office. Do you see how easy this is? And with social media, we can expedite the process. We don't have to go about doing things the way that we used to do it in order to sell war. Are we going too deep? Did I lose you? Notice how when you talk to somebody, street interview, anybody, Republican or Democrat, it don't even have to be just Democrats, but Republican or Democrat, the only thing that they can cite is a talking point that they repeated from another Democrat or another Republican or from the party itself that was basically given to them. You know why I won't be invited back since I've been on the Comedians in person for a live show for the person? Because the minute that we start deep diving, the minute that we start going into it, because my requirements is going to be different now. Unedited, no changes, in writing, agreement, no limit to the amount of time that we do the show, and we deep dive from now on. Starting next year, if I go on anybody else's platform, no editing, no nothing, we deep diving and we going all the way there because I want to show you the difference between somebody that is informed and educated versus somebody that talks talking points from other black people and Democrats because it sounds good to the ears of the people that are just listening to them. Because if we start to deep dive and we start to go into this type of stuff, if we start to have conversations about how race and Israel and all of this little stupid stuff continues to distract you from what the truth is, then it's gonna be a whole nother, it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem. It's absolutely gonna be a problem. But I will tell you that the only, listen. Iran ain't Iran. Iran is the United States of China and Russia. That's it. Their value is their ability to be able to export their resources over to a bigger power, which is one of the reasons why they love them and help them. And because you just so happen to be the enemy of the United States. That's it. In the same way that Iran is a pawn, Israel is a pawn. Everybody serves a purpose necessarily to make sure that we have a bigger objective that we need to do, and we got to sell this thing. We got to sell this thing. The missiles, all of that's the money. That's the money. That's getting to the bag. We need an excuse to be able to launch these missiles off anyway. We gotta get to the money. That's the money. The impact is the currency. The impact is the resources. The impact is who the true players are that then gets the resources that you're shipping out. That's the real impact. Now, it's easy for them to come in and say, well, hey, listen, guys. Sailors are looking to jump ship because they've been at sea for 250 days. Y'all really going for that shit? You going for that? Is that what you... Tell me that that's what you believe, and then that way I can better understand of where we stand on these conversations. My first reaction... Well, where are these people? Are they on social media? How did you find out? So you saying what you said that you heard from a third party that heard it from another third party, and this is what's going on, huh? Okay, all right. You was thinking about me the other day, Janelle? I appreciate it. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. We diving. We deep sea diving today. And I hope that we can keep this same sentiment and the same disposition, and that we continue to push and we elevate, because we diving. And if y'all not a part of the Bag Chasers, y'all not a part of the Patreon, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top there. Are we diving? Worthless box? I can't. Yeah, man, what's the point of it? Ain't no point in pandering if the box is worthless. Wyatt says they didn't have the same sentiment when it came to cap. Ooh, when it came to cap. Wesley Turner says, aside from diplomacy, what books do you recommend for gaining better insight into politics, money, and how one influences the other globe? I don't think it's any particular book. I think Colin Powell wrote a really good book. I forgot what the name of it. I got it in there. I don't think it's any book in particular. I think most books that are written from a political perspective a lot of times is to sell you on the idea why the candidate is a likable character and why they should ultimately be elected. That's the money play. I don't think it's a book. I just think that you need to start listening to and trying to understand why things are happening economically and politically the way that it is, and just go from there. I think the biggest thing that people should do is they need to take an ethics class to understand how government works, because that then unlocks everything that's happening politically. You know? I want to go over to Canada.
Trump administration is piling new economic pressure on our enemies and our allies. Iran is being targeted with sanctions for, you heard it, you know it, refusing to open the Strait of Hormuz. And Canada faces new tariffs in an escalating, that's putting it mildly, trade dispute. Weijia Jiang is at the White House. Weijia, good morning.
Happy birthday, Major, and good morning to everybody. These economic tensions are escalating at a time when inflation is already elevated and gas prices remain high. A trade war with Canada was not expected, but its prime minister walked away from negotiations in a last-minute move, claiming the U.S. was demanding too much.
On Sunday, President Trump took a ceremonial lap ahead of the Freedom 250 Grand Prix. But Trump spent much of the weekend dealing with the fallout of failed trade talks with Canada, which triggered a new 50% U.S. tariff on about $20 billion worth of Canadian goods. Prime Minister Mark Carney announced Canada will match the new fees dollar for dollar starting September 8th.
We've got the reserves, we've got the resilience, we've got the plan, we've got the focus. We will respond.
The U.S. is also turning up pressure on Iran, and Trump declared today would be economic D-Day for Tehran.
We are going to have the toughest sanctions in history.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will hold a press conference this afternoon to announce those new sanctions that are expected to impact countries that do business with Iran. In a Financial Times opinion piece, Bessent wrote, "Any nation that serves as a financial artery of a withering regime should expect to share in its isolation." China, which imports large amounts of Iranian oil, says it opposes illegal unilateral sanctions that have no basis in international law. And
Of course they do. Of course they do. I just explained that to y'all.
Iranian official warned if the economic war continues, not a single drop of oil will be exported, adding that any country's participation in America's policy against Iran would be regarded as an act of war. Minneapolis Federal Reserve President Neel Kashkari.
The longer there's back and forth on the trade front, just like the longer there's back and forth in the conflict of Iran, the imprint in inflation end up being extended and delayed.
I want to fast forward really quickly, and I want to go over to the impact from Canada's side. And so one of the things that I like to watch when I'm studying and better understanding exactly what happens on an international front is I like to watch their news, right? Because we often at times on our side, we watch our news and we draw our conclusions based off of what we think are happening, and we give our opinions, and we have a lot of infighting, and the Republicans versus Democrats, blacks versus white, and all of this stuff. But one thing that we don't do is we don't go straight to their sources to better understand exactly how this is impacting them and what sacrifices they're going to make as a result of getting into a trade war with the U.S. And I'm going to tell you why the U.S. is pressing Canada, and they're being a lot more aggressive with them.
New tariffs are expected to deliver a blow to Canada's economy and the labor market. So looking into that this morning, senior correspondent and host of CBC Morning Live, David Common, with us this morning. Nice to see you on this Sunday.
Good to see you as well.
Okay, let's talk the sectors, because so many different sectors are impacted and not in the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there are different sectors that will be impacted in different ways. Some that will be lightly touched, others that will not be. And that will, according to economist Trevor Tombe, lead to job losses. If I bring up a board for you here, you get a sense of some of the impacts here. So plastics and rubber products manufacturing, when it says minus 4.6K, 4,600 jobs could be lost. I want to point out that this is not immediate. It is the effect over the long term of these tariffs pricing in. Furniture. Yes, we make furniture in this country, quite a bit of it that gets exported to the United States. 4,900 jobs there that would be impacted. You see the different colors there. The red, I'm colorblind, Marianne, so you might have to help me. There is red there,
There
right?
is definitely red, and
colorblind is crazy.
There's some blue. That's very helpful. The red there indicating the direct job losses, the blue, the indirect. Computer and electronic product manufacturing, a big number there. It is one of the most exposed sectors that is primarily in British Columbia. And I would want to point out to you that when we talk about direct and indirect, so you think about some of those products that we see there in front of us, when we are talking about indirect losses, it's more about, for instance, the truckers. So if furniture is made or electronic products are made, well, somebody has to ship them.
So let me tell you what's happening, right? What doesn't get discussed on NBC and CNN and a lot of these liberal networks is the pain and the suffering and the pissed off perspective from a lot of people that are actually in Canada, and it's going to be impacted by the Canadian Prime Minister deciding that he wants to get into a trade war with Trump. And so what he decided to do was he said, well, listen, I'm going to walk away from the table and I'm going to decide to go dollar for dollar on the tariffs with Trump. And then Trump said, okay, cool. Well, then we'll raise it up 50% and we'll just completely crush you. Because, and let me tell you one of the reasons why Trump is really pressing on this whole trade situation. I was watching a video with Singapore, and I'll share it with you guys tomorrow, but I'm going to just give you the cliff notes. Singapore, they went through, and they are a very, 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 very loyal ally of the United States. And Singapore said, listen, and they just exposed it and blew the whole top off the whole thing. They said, listen, what's really happening and what we won't do is we won't allow for people that are not the United States to use us because of our relationship with the United States to basically leverage being able to get cheap products through us, which then will ruin our relationship with the United States, similarly to the way that Mexico were allowing for China and other institutions and other countries to then use them as an import. So this is the way that they get around it, right? Let's say, for example, the United States says, all right, well, listen, guys, we're going to put a tariff on you, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. And so in order to get around it, they'll basically leverage another country that they have control over or that they're impacting in a significant way, or that country is looking to do business to make up for the problems that they're having with the U.S., even if only temporarily, because they're not looking at the long-term impact and the ramifications. And so they'll let that country then do things or ship goods and products and services into their country, which then basically nullify to an extent all of the tariffs or all of the sanctions or all of whatever that the United States are trying to do, which then puts their relationship in jeopardy. Singapore said, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not playing that game. We're not going to ruin our relationship with the United States, and it's illegal for y'all to do so. I remember when China, right, were basically to get around, because you got to remember, the first time that Trump was in office, he put tariffs on China, right, in order to save our steel industry, in order to save our auto manufacturing industry, in order to save several different industries. Trump in 2016, 17, and 18, and 19 put tariffs on China. The thing that Democrats don't talk about is that Biden actually left those tariffs in place. He never removed the tariffs because it was actually good for the U.S. It was generating revenue, and it evened the playing field, especially, or more even the playing field, especially considering that we had a trade deficit, a massive trade deficit with China. When Trump got him back in office, he looked at that and he realized, you know what? We have a massive trade deficit with a lot of countries. We have a massive trade deficit with a lot of countries. And we need to be able to leverage that to even the playing field while at the same time bringing more resources and building up jobs and incentivizing manufacturing and for more products to be made here in our own country, right? Biden never removed the tariffs from China. He left those in place for a reason, because it was good policy. They just didn't advertise it. They didn't talk about it because it would give Trump too much credit. And they never expected for him to win and to be back in office in 2024, right? So that's what they did. They put things in place they left things in place that Trump already had in place that would benefit the U.S. But then what China and other countries would do is that they would ship unassembled products over to places like Mexico to then try to bypass, and instead of Biden dealing with that and the Biden administration dealing with it effectively, they would ship products that ultimately was going to be assembled, not made in China, assembled in Mexico, shipped in the U.S. And it's a similar thing to what's going on in Canada. China is building its relationship with our neighbor to the north, Canada, and it's one of the reasons why they're now allowing for a certain amount of Chinese vehicles to be sold over in Canada, amongst other goods. And so China is using Canada in order to try to circumvent a lot of the problems and the tariffs that comes along with what U.S. is sanctioning them for, basically, right? Because we have an adversary that's basically trying to get ahead of us and beat us in every aspect of what our economy is really built off of, right? So China is in bed with Canada, and Canada is in bed with several other people that the United States looks at as adversaries. So we're not dumb. We're not the Biden administration. The Trump administration, via Scott Bessent and many other people, are basically attacking these issues head on. And as a result, Canada is now in a position where they're going to lose tens of thousands of jobs. And this is not going to be immediate. This is going to be long term. Tens of thousands of jobs because they don't want to play ball in the correct way that you play ball and doing good business, especially considering that you need us more than ever, not just for financial reasons, but also we are the ones that protect Canada. We don't want... Canada is a bad side chick right now. Canada is a side chick that forgot that she was a side chick and now feel like she got equity into the relationship. That's what Canada is. They forgot. We don't necessarily need your booze. We don't necessarily need your hockey. It's a fraction of the population, and the terrain is really unusable, and the people up in Canada has benefited way more from the U.S. than we have from them. Y'all don't have any car manufacturers. We do, and we manufacture cars over there and give you jobs. Canada forgot their place on where they stand in this hierarchy, and instead of them benefiting of getting taken care of, right? Okay, yeah, we're going to stop by. We may need to use your place as a crash pad a little bit, so on and so forth. But instead, now you talking and you threatening us, saying that you're going to tell my wife. What you saying? Oh, okay, I see. All right, so I see how we're going to play this. All right, I'll deal with this effectively. I'll deal with it. Don't worry about it. You forgot I pay the rent here? I'll go and live with my mama. Okay, Hoyt. All right. You forgot your car is in my name? I pay that car note? This is what we doing now? All right, don't worry about it. You right. You got it. I'm trying to break it down in a way to where you guys can understand why we doing what we doing without all of the extra lingo from politics and all of that type of stuff.
So you think about some of those products that we see there in front of us. When we are talking about indirect losses, it's more about, for instance, the truckers. So if furniture is made or electronic products are made, well, somebody has to ship them. If there isn't product that's being shipped because it's now too expensive, there'll be job losses in that sector. And so, for instance, transportation looks at about 5,000 job losses.
Wow. Yeah, the trickle effect is amazing when you really expand to see the true effects and impacts here. And each province across the country impacted differently as well.
Absolutely. And look, Ontario, the most exposed when it comes to job losses from these particular tariffs. Why is that? Partly because of the industries that have been targeted, partly because Ontario is the most populous province. And so as I look at my indicators here, 36,000 jobs in Ontario could be lost again over time as these most recent tariffs get priced in. Already there have been job losses in Ontario in the auto sector and steel. We know that. We have seen that. And those aren't the only places. There are smaller businesses, of course, that are impacted. Quebec looking at a loss of 18,000 jobs. BC, 11,000 jobs. Alberta, 9,000 jobs. That is interesting to see because Alberta has relatively little exposure to these most recent tariffs, about 1% exposure, and yet the way it hits could cost about 9,000 jobs in that province. Saskatchewan, Manitoba, about 2,500 each. So, you know, you get the sense when I look at Atlantic Canada, they're considerably smaller numbers. Nova Scotia, a bit more exposed than the rest of Atlantic Canada. But it does give you the sense that there is pain that is being felt unevenly across the country.
And we knew going into this, BC, Ontario, Quebec, they were going to be hit harder. But interesting to see those other provinces, Saskatchewan, Alberta, the impacts there when you look at the direct impact.
And it's even worse than that. There's ways. there's jobs that's not being counted, right? You talk about people buying less groceries. You talk about delivery services. You're talking about restaurants that then depend on those workers that come in every day for lunch or to order food. You're talking about, sports. You're talking about clothing. You're talking about all of these things. It's literally a trickle-down effect when you talk about jobs being affected or places being hurt. And I'll give you an example. Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan is a very, very, very good example. A lot of people don't know that Flint used to be one of the most economically sound cities in the United States. Flint used to be one of the richest cities in the U.S. A lot of people don't know that because this was before your time and you don't really understand how the manufacturing boom in the North actually was one of the economic engines that built the U.S. And Flint was one of the richest cities in the U.S. As crazy as that sounds. But as job losses, because it never diversified in the different industries that it served, in the same way that the economy was built up in Flint because there was so much money being circulated in the city, the minute that all of those job losses, and then when D-Day, I call D-Day 2008, the economic meltdown of 2008, when all of those jobs got laid off, a huge portion of them directly came from Flint. Which then led to what? More job losses in other industries, suppliers, restaurants, industries that serve the big three, lunch trucks, any and everybody that money circulated into, tax dollars, revenue, downtown, anything that could and would go wrong, it went wrong because when the money is not money and everybody suffers. Which then leads to what? Hoods, ghetto, crime, corruption, stealing, thieving, murders. And then you get the first 48. So, to my Canadian compadres, I know y'all live right across the street, Canada. To my Canadian compadres, good luck negotiating the best deal and trade talks with Scott Bessent in the U.S. I hope that works out well for you guys. I know that you guys recently got a new prime minister, but you got worse than you already had. And so now this is where you at. Shout out to TS Car Wash and Detail Services. You gonna check out a minute at the Ross Complex? Yeah, I'll check it out on my own time. I don't know what I'm looking for. What is it? What is it that I'm looking for? What is it that you want me to look at? You grew up there in the late 80s and 70s. It was lit, wasn't it, Mrs. Toy? Now everything has changed. Everything is different now. You know what I'm saying? Yo, we had a great show today. Let me give y'all a round of applause. Unfortunately, we got to end the show. But I have good news for you. We back at it tomorrow. Yeah. We're back at it tomorrow, same time, 9 o'clock hour. We getting it popping, we getting it in. And we gonna run up a bag. Yeah, man, life is good. All right, y'all. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank you to my girl sister. Let me get one more round of applause. Thank you, sister. I love you. I appreciate you. Shout out to all of the bag chasers. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.